Welcome, welcome. The show's just begun. There's so much to be done. You want to be here to stay? It's a one-of-a-kind fantasy workshop where you'll quite simply be amazed.
Identifying dive! Hit it, Mr. Octopus!
Our new world awaits. Now it's time to explore. Step right up, don't be scared. It's time to open the door.
Andrew is vengeful and he's in the games. That's right, Andrew's so vengeful. I'm Elvis Presley. This song is low-key fire. Andrew is vengeful. I'm inside the games unlike Acid Day. What's up, home?
I hear you. You nearly said it. Isn't that song that was just playing on stream, the guitar one? Is that not just like a regular song? Oh, they can hear me?
They can hear you, yeah. It's Unwithered Truth.
What's up, homie?
Yo, what's going on, YouTube?
Hello once again, audience. How are we doing? I'm tired.
You already know what it is.
Big Top is the vengeful spirit. Ro's been reading my script. That's crazy.
Big Top is the vengeful spirit.
Tickets, please.
Tickets, Sigma's please. Alright, let me switch the feed over.
Sigma's please.
Sigma's please. Chat, I have splendid news. Chat. If I can find it. It's here somewhere.
Peanut butter sandwiches in the chat.
Give me 1 second. Where is it? Aha! There it is. Okay, let me switch over to my gaming stream. Okay. Should be here. Yes.
Here comes this. We got everybody in the chat.
I know. I can't believe there's this many people here for Fazbear. Usually these streams are like flops. They get like 60 viewers, but apparently the video has made me so world famous. Right, let me put your face on the screen.
Blown up.
There you go. Right now, your face is here. Chat. Well, look what it is. God David has made its way onto Dawko's video.
Oh God.
That's huge. Only one left. We just need to get GT live, and then we've officially.
It's rare I go on Twitter, but I do just keep seeing every now and then you retweeting something someone else has said about God David. It's really
some weird God
really
David like fan art or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the fan art has been amazing. I'm actually I'm considering finding some of those people and getting them to commission something for me because I got a couple of things I need drawn for
stuff for the
reboot that I'm not arsed to draw. I'm really not. Could not care less.
Bring this up. And then chat, planning for the charity stream is going well. I have a couple special perks. I'll reveal one of the perks is we have custom like laptop stickers that you cannot. I'm not going to sell them. There's only 14 in existence. There are 14 theory custom illustrated stickers that you have a chance of winning during the charity stream. So that will be quite exciting. I know what the people like. I'm a man of the people.
You know what the people want.
Yeah.
You're sort of a prophet, like a sort of a God David.
Yeah, some sort of prophet. God David, yeah.
Some sort of Jesus David.
Scott descended on the third day and said, "Let there be retcons."
What was it? One of those? There was like God Trio or something. Remember that stream where people just started putting like theory names to
Bible just stuff? random stuff.
That was pretty funny.
Okay, then let me go and get over to out of stock. I have been granted. What the fuck is it? Wait, hold on. Oh, okay, never mind. That's not real. This over here, it was like, what if Scott Cawthon made a FNaF animation? I thought it was real for a minute. I was like, no way, but it's fan made. All right, I've been granted permission from Gibson to use his video for this. We're going over this.
Thank God.
Stupid story. You don't want to listen to guys. I really liked Alec. Guys, I liked the way that he loves Lonely Freddy.
It's nothing against Dawko. I think Dawko seems like a lovely guy. It's just I've watched some of the videos, and because they came out around the time the book came out, they have they're very quick, like just unfettered reactions. Whereas Gibby, I think, goes into them a little bit more and breaks them down a little more precisely.
All right, let's. Also, Gibson might be joining us soon, but I'm not sure. Oh, also, one of the other charity awards is I forced Gibby to do his own cover of Andrew is the Vengeful Spirit for a charity award. So if we hit a goal, that has to get released too, and I'm forcing him to drop it on his channel.
Is it finished?
We ran into some hiccups for so the rap part he was so bad at that we had to put my voice, I had to sing it, and then we had to literally use AI to put his voice over mine. But all the rest of it is just Gibby, just going off, like singing like just beautiful.
How do you be that?
Listen, no one tell him. Nobody tell him. He was like, can you edit it? And I went in to edit it, and I said, there's no saving this.
Oh my god.
His flow was so bad.
The rap bit. What rap bit am I forgetting?
Andrew is a mental spirit, yeah. Like, he could not hit the notes, bro. Don't tell anybody, but because I want him to be surprised when it's on the charity stream. I want him to be like, this is amazing. So he knows I have his permission, obviously, but you know, because I wouldn't just do that without him saying I could.
AIing someone's voice
after
they do it through, just be like, bro, I'm sorry.
I mean, did we really think Gibby would be able to rap?
I wouldn't have considered that a part of rap. I would have just said
it's like hip hop, kind of.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like it's like Drake type. I mean, wait, not him.
Don't compare Gibby to Drake.
Don't know. Uh-oh.
But no, like there's other verses where he sings like in like a country style, and he's good at that.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, but I feel like no one could actually match the sheer epicness of Andrew's mental spirit. But chat, no leaks. You have to wait for the charity stream to see it. We gotta hit a donation goal. And then I'm forcing him to drop it on his channel. Sorry, what'd you say? I interrupted you.
I mean, I was gonna say I could do a feature on that bit. I could just do that bit on its own.
All right, we'll talk to him about it after. We can talk to him. Do you want Unwithered to say it?
AI Gibby feat.
You'll be the ad libs.
Yeah.
Watch the reboot. Reboot.
I wonder who will be the vengeful spirit in the reboot.
Oh no. You just slurred all your words together like you were drunk. Alright, Gibson. Wait, I have to screen share with you. God,
you
I'm so
just
stupid.
stream to me, yeah.
Me. Right, share your screen. Boom. Flint and steel. Okay. Guys, make sure you freaking mimic on the like button if you haven't as well. Thanks. Alright, are you ready?
Yes.
This guy has Frights fiction. Can we cancel him?
No, we can't. Not anymore.
No, he's not wrong. He's probably right. It's more likely than Tales games at this point, genuinely.
I've always liked it.
Hello and welcome to the Horror Homestead, where my lighting is wrong and I don't know why. My name is Gibby, and in this series we're going to be discussing the anthology series Fazbear Frights, the series of Five Nights at Freddy's novels, and I'm going to be teaching them like this was a college English course. I'm going to summarize the plot, analyze the text, and then go over any lore implications. Now, right now, I'm a believer in the Frights fiction fan theory, which is that all of these books actually take place within the universe of Five Nights at Freddy's. So if you're a character in the games, you can walk down to your local bookstore and buy one of these. With each story, we're going to discuss whether or not that's possible. Does something contained within the story make that more likely to be true or less likely to be true? I don't know. We'll figure it out together as we go. After how much I hated Lonely Freddy, I had to take a break and go down to the store. It's cold out, so I needed a new sweater, and I was looking for a nice fleece jacket to replace my old one. When I arrived, I realized that basically everyone had had the same idea I did, and they all needed nice fleece jackets. The hangers were empty. They were.
My God.
Out of stock. That's the story we're going with. It's called Out of Stock, Five Nights at Freddy's. Welcome to the story with the least confusing plot. After the last few went off the rails, I'm happy to be back on the tracks. At the end of the story, you'll see why that's funny. Out of Stock is written by Carly Ann West, who also wrote Fetch. Out of Stock stars Oscar and his two friends, Raj and Isaac. Before we start the story proper, I want to give you some insight into Oscar's life. Oscar is very poor and doesn't even own a cell phone. His mom works in a nursing home that's so understaffed that sometimes Oscar has to go and help her, which makes him miss some of the fun times his friends have. His dad died from a sudden infection not too long ago. He's got his friends, he's got his parents, his single parent, his socioeconomic status, his age. You want to learn his age? Me too. Unfortunately, the book doesn't know because it contradicts itself. Oscar tried out for the high school varsity baseball team, and he almost made it, but he didn't get it. This indicates that he's in high school. Oscar is pulled out of school, and his geometry teacher says, "Sorry, Mr. Avila. Nobody ever said sophomore year was cruelty-free." So he's a sophomore in high school. That lines up with trying out for varsity.
Yeah, sophomore year is terrible. Gotta sit in living environment class, gotta sit in biology class, and just do fucking nothing. Dude, if I go back to sophomore year, holy, dude, that'd be so free. They'd just be free.
I'll be completely honest with you. I have no idea what the hell a sophomore year is. What age are you in sophomore year?
15, I believe.
15. Okay, cool. Because
I'm saying, if I could take my just absolutely ginormous, huge, handsome brain back and put it inside of my 15-year-old body, I would just be like so smart.
Brain. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Good thing you said brain.
I would not have needed to say anything else.
You can open up 15. Google Docs right now. You got a beefy computer. You can do both at the same time.
That's true. If anything important happens, we'll open the docs.
Do you have like a trope for him with like dead parents, or because he said his dad died recently, right? His dad died of a disease or something.
Yeah, but I don't care.
Okay.
When it gets more important, I'll bring it up.
The whole point.
They're 16 years old. One page after discussing how he tried out for varsity. "And I take it the toy will never be yours," Mr. Devereaux said. Oscar felt ridiculous hearing it in those terms. Hardly something that should be causing a 12-year-old to despair.
What the fuck? Either he's Elon Musk, or they don't know how to write the story.
Yes, when I was 12 years old, I was actually in sophomore year.
He's not 12. Yeah. He's 15. Or he's both. I think they probably originally wrote it for him to be 15, and then realized that obsessing over the toy that the story is about is not something a 15-year-old would do, and so had to make him 12. True. I checked the graphic novel to see if there was any indication what his intended age was supposed to be, and the art style makes it very hard to tell.
Oh my lord, he's chopped!
Oh yeah, I forgot
he looks like a fucking...
You know what I will say? Of all of the... I mean, I remember when that came out...
I'm sorry, that Gibby freeze frame was insane that I was just on. Alright, what is this over here? Yeah.
I will say, of all of the graphic novel arts, this one at least is its own style.
It's unique.
It feels like it's not just like Tumblr, you know...
You don't fuck with David Murray with the low taper fade? Imagine if David got a
no hate to the artists. I'm sure they have their own styles and stuff. I just think they all come across a bit generic. At least this one's got its own kind of artsy thing going on.
So for this whole story, we're going to have to imagine them both as 12 and 15 interchangeably. So the question-marked aged Oscar wants a new toy. It's called the Plushtrap Chaser. It's a toy based on his favorite Freddy Fazbear character. The character has big chompy teeth, is 3 feet tall, and it can chase you around the lawn. Wow! We'll soon learn that this doesn't make any sense. The new toy is releasing on Friday morning, which upsets Oscar and his...
Play the clip of Gibby talking about Valora's boobs. I have seen the clip, I don't have it. I do not know where it is. I have seen it on Twitter, though. Maybe he's joining the call, he might have it. I'll ask him if he joins in a sec. He might have it.
Someone said God had a low taper fade. Avocado Loco. That's a good name.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to bring up was if I go up here and I do Plushtrap, which is AR Plushtrap like this. We go to images. This right here, one of the things I noticed is that there are kind of drastically different designs for the characters that are in FNaF AR than the ones we know from the Scott games. Plushtrap is an almost beige color, which is neat. So a lot of it's part of what I've been thinking, like...
Is he in the original?
He's DLC for FNaF AR. He's green.
No, I know, but in the original, he's greeny.
He's not like a vibrant green, but he's very, like, if I do, like, look at this, his color here, and then if I do FNaF 4 Not FNaF 34. Definitely don't want to search that. FNaF 4 Plushtrap. You'll see right here, he's a lot like more of a vibrant greenish color.
Yes, yeah. I can see it because in the lighting as well, it's kind of like, it's like Bonnie being blue or purple. You know, you might technically be blue, but he kind of looks purplish. I could see it, AR just being like color sample, you know, off an image.
But I'm also willing to accept that the reason these two like plush traps are different is because one of them is Fazbear Entertainment's recreation of that real thing, or you know, they just haven't kept the color consistent. But I was thinking about how people were making a big deal. Does FNaF AR still canon even if the game's dead? You know, that's a tough question. I have like no idea.
Yeah, because I mean, we still use evidence from certain things, from some of the emails, but it is really hard because I was looking over the emails for the first time in a long time the other day, and it is very weird to try and work it in.
And now chat is talking about Plushtrap's anus and how he's a freak. All right.
Whoa, okay.
Let's maybe not do that. Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah, if AR is canon, I don't see it being super important going forward. I guess it could be one of those things like, yeah, technically it happened, but we just don't talk about it. Like, I think it probably wasn't planned to be more important than it's going to end up being, because they have that whole remnant gathering plotline. But I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to.
So, are you suggesting that the Plushtrap chaser is real, like in continuity, and that this is what the Plushtrap in the game is based off?
Yeah. I was almost thinking, like, especially because there's that big deal where in the FNaF trailer for Help Wanted 2, in the original Help Wanted 2, Help Wanted 1 trailer, Nightmare Fredbear was more of a brown color than a gold, and people complained about it. But I was almost thinking, like, in my head, like, what if the reason that happens, or the reason these design inconsistencies are here, is because they specifically want to make the design slightly different, because this is not true. This is Fazbear's fabrication of the designs, and that's why there's inconsistencies. But it could also just be that they choked.
In Sister Location, there's not much evidence to say that Fredbear or Nightmare are like real, as in Nightmare Fredbear or Nightmare are real animatronics, because they don't have little dots on the map. But then also in UCN, Nightmare Fredbear says, "This time there is more than an illusion to fear." So it's like, or I assure you I'm very real, or whatever one of those lines it is. So it's like, I guess he was one of the Nightmare animatronics, like one of the real ones. Plushtrap appears in Help Wanted, right? Or does he? Yeah, he does.
Yes, he does. But I think he is green there, so I'm a fraud. Never mind. He is greenish there.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless, like, even if it's based off of the toy, right? Then the toy, I think, if it is canon, would be based off of Help Wanted. I assume that's the implication of this story as well. I doubt they go into it unless there's a line where it's like, "Oh, this little guy's based on that thing from that old VR game," or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just one of those. Plushtrap is a weird one where it's like, in universe, it has a completely different explanation than what actually must have been the cause for it to exist. Any of the Nightmare stuff is confusing as to why it's in any of the games.
Chat is mad at me. I'm sorry, chat. I read the word anus, and I read the words Plushtrap is a freak layered on top of each other. So I said, what is happening?
His brain works like a YouTube
AI summary. Yeah, I'm just scrolling like the fucking 40 people, just like Cliff Notes.
His friends, because they'll be in school. Why would they release a toy for children when children are in school, they ask themselves. The boys lament that Dwight already has one, because his important business dad made a call and obtained one. There's a lot of class stuff discussed in the story. It doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't seem to be part of any sort of theme, but it is there present in the background. Isaac has a little brother named Jordan. This never comes up again. The boys sort of wish that they could skip school, but Oscar knows his mom would be very upset, and he really cares about what his mom thinks about him, and being a good kid. That day in school sucks. They have a pop quiz, they have to run laps. The book says, Oscar thought maybe he'd never faced a more miserable day. This is foreshadowing to the miserable day that Oscar will soon face. I guess it's not really foreshadowing, it's just like dramatic irony. The lighting is just so wrong, like there should be lights behind me,
You look
but
fine, Gibson.
they're on. The camera's just not picking them up. It's like my white balance is off, my white light, something wrong with the lights. Right before the school day is over, Oscar gets called into the office. This is when his teacher says that sophomore year isn't cruelty-free. So, because Oscar doesn't have a cell phone, his mother has to call the school whenever she wants to get in
do they still have this cool feature where I can move the captions? Oh, I'm God. God captions. Can I shrink them? I can't shrink them. Damn it. I'm trying to make them so like chat can actually see. Oh, here we go. Fixed, saved. God captions, chat. God captions. Go down. No, I don't want you to be ginormous. Go down here.
Contact with him.
Oh, they're staying
So he
there.
goes to the front office and he meets with the secretary, Miss Bestley, who he calls Miss Beastly. He talks to his mom, and his mom says that she needs his help at the retirement nursing home. So he has to go straight there from school. There's one older gentleman there, Mr. Devereaux, who really only responds to Oscar, so Oscar has to go there and help out. Mrs. Beastly makes a comment about how she has to go and hurry over to the toy box to buy some Plushtrap chasers for her nephews. This makes Oscar even more nervous that there won't be any left for him when he's done helping his mom. He takes the bus to the nursing home. There's a guy there who works at the front desk named Irvin. He's called a receptionist, but earlier Mrs. Beastly was called a secretary. I wonder what the difference between them is. Irvin tells Oscar that Mr. Devereaux is having an episode because he thinks Marilyn...
I think they look alright.
Yeah, you can turn off the background or whatever if you need to. It's just in the settings.
Okay.
Lynn is trying to steal his soul. Oscar meets up with his mom, who thanks him for being there and says, "Thank you, little man. You are my angel." On the phone earlier, she called him LM, which the book tells us is short for little man. We will talk about this in the analysis section. Oscar is very embarrassed by this, even though he knows his friends are miles away at the toy store getting their Plushtrap chasers. He's still worried that someone might overhear his mom calling him this. He's very envious of the fact that his friends might be getting the toy. The thought of Raj and Isaac lining them up for epic chomping battles in the yard was pure agony. One of the reasons that I don't think...
Oh, he's capitalized agony on the captions.
That's so cringe. If he's like, you know what's more powerful than the vengeful spirit's anger? Not getting your toy. the agony generated from not getting to play with my friend Timmy at school recess.
Yeah, agony needs to be reined in if it's that like.
Yeah. I think you need to like. Yeah, it's kind of overpowered if that's how. And if that's the case, then Edwin's factory is definitely the remnant farm.
This mirror saw a man murder his whole family, and this toy wasn't played with. It's like what?
Like every time I get a hangnail, I can power an entire city block. I get lemon juice in there. Planes start fucking crashing out of the sky. No.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, it was my agony.
That these books should be looked into too deeply for lore is because I don't think the use of the word agony here is supposed to tie into FNaF's concept of agony. I think it's just used here as a word. Like, I don't think his envy about this toy is really comparable to Millie's death. So I think the use of agony here is...
decapitated. not getting your toy.
Just a word being used by the writer. I also want to point out that Oscar thinks you can have epic chomp battles.
They got my order.
My delivery from Amazon has been delayed. No.
No. Amazon
I
headquarters
always come back.
just blows up.
What a terrible universe to live in.
In the yard, which we will soon discover.
It's just all even the slightest pain just causes like 90 times more pain.
Is just not something the toy is capable of doing. Just like in the game, the Plushtrap toy is programmed to stop moving in the light. Thus it can only work in pure darkness, so you can't be outside unless it's dark out. This is obviously a terrible design for a toy. Oscar goes to check on Mr. Devereaux, who's complaining that Marilyn is stealing his soul. We get a page about this until it's humorously revealed that Marilyn is a cat. During this conversation, Mr. Devereaux drops some banging proverbs and advice and quotes. Trust cannot be rushed.
Oh wait, Proverbs. All right, hold on. I'm gonna close this window real quick while I open Google Docs, because I do have my charity planning stuff there, and also probably my bank account information on the homepage. So don't ask. Got to keep my info somewhere. It's just too
Actually,
good
if you wanted to,
true.
you could share the Google Docs link, and I could log into it and edit it while you're watching.
Give me one second.
To
Let's make sure it's good. Oh wait, did someone give me $900 million? Oh, they did. Yes. Getting kicked in the balls and possessing the shoe. Somebody said. Repeated Scott stuff. There it is. Okay. Scrolling down.
Where is my balls?
Where are my balls? All right, remind me not to hit the minus sign, because that is my end stream button.
Okay.
Right, Control VIU.
You need to fix that.
Yeah, but it's too late.
T documents.
Teagle docs. Okay. I can open this back up, I think. Here we go. Repeated Scott stuff. Beautiful. Okay, and let me go back here. Okay. Chat, one of the donation goals is leaking my bank. the secret 3 digits on the back.
All right.
Just too good to be true. Can't keep the mimic off of you. Alright, here we go.
Good fortune cannot be predicted. Love is a many-splendored thing, until it crushes you to pieces. The reason for the wanting is what lies beneath. It's the soil that feeds the want. The best cultivators are the ones who know when the right time is to pick the crop.
Isn't that literally what Jesus... Isn't that from the Bible? That last one?
Best cultivators, the ones who...
Or the Buddha. One of I'm pretty sure I've seen that in like an actual book somewhere, not a FNaF one.
An actual book.
That sounds like something the fucking Buddha would say.
The statement, the best it's a metaphor. Where does it come from? Come on, Google AI. Tell me.
Gemini, you're supposed to be a genius.
It doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
It just says the quote originates from the book Fazbear Frights out of stock.
That's crazy. I can't believe Scott Cawthon is a parable giving.
That's crazy they took that down in the Out of Scott's recap on TV tropes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to know when to go for it, even when it doesn't look possible. Quit tilling. It's time to pick. I bet it's gonna blow some 4th graders' minds when one of these quotes comes back later in the climax. Anyway, after Oscar convinces him that the cat is not going to steal his soul, Mr. Devereaux tells Oscar to sit down so they can have a nice chat, and Oscar feels all hope of getting the toy slip away. He'd hoped to be in and out, quick, get his toy, but now he's going to be stuck talking to this old man. The old man peers at him and notes that, "Your heart is stolen. Love is a many-splendored thing until it crushes you to pieces." "It's just a stupid toy," Oscar said, but even as he tried to diminish the Plushtrap, he felt his heart squeeze. "It broke?" Mr. Devereaux said. "It was never even mine," said Oscar. Mr. Devereaux nodded slowly. "And I take it the toy will never be yours?" Mr. Devereaux said. What a heartbreaking scene. Oscar, the maybe 12-year-old, is talking about a toy, and Mr. Devereaux is quite clearly having flashbacks to lost loves. It was never mine. Those words are so haunting in the context of love. Mr. Devereaux is sitting there like, oh, this poor boy, this valid feeling he's having about this toy, just wait until it's about a girl. Mr. Devereaux also knows how difficult Oscar's life is with having to help out his mom at his job and losing his dad. So this is when he says, "The toy is only the stem that breaks ground. The reason for the wanting is what lies underneath. It's the soil that feeds the want. I think you've tilled quite a lot of soil in your handful of years on this."
I think this guy is Old Man Consequences.
This is, yeah.
The way he's speaking is very, like...
Mr. Devereaux is the true Old Man Consequences.
Hello, Parliament.
Earth, so much wanting,
that feels like
but you've never been able to pluck the fruits of your labor from the ground. So what Mr. Devereaux is saying is that Oscar is brokenhearted about the toy, but the only reason he wants the toy so much is because his life has been so difficult. Being poor, losing his dad, having to work, etc. He's worked so hard but never gotten anything for it, so he just wants something nice. Oscar doesn't follow this and thinks that he's having an illucid episode and is just babbling nonsense. Mr. Devereaux then yells at him and says, "Go get your toy." So now Oscar's off on his adventure.
Go get your
Irvin
toy
at the front desk stops him and tells him that his friend's called.
Go
They're
get
not
your
at the
toy.
toy box, which is the toy store that they agreed to meet up at. They're actually at the mall, at a store called the Emporium. The Emporium is weird, and this is where I think that these books cause the most debates among the fans, because we have this paragraph. The Emporium had nearly closed 3 different times, always on the verge of bankruptcy, always rescued at the last minute by some mystery financer who, according to chipper news anchors on the evening broadcast, couldn't bear to see another independent business succumb to one of the big chain stores. It might have been an act of charity if the Emporium hadn't been so gross. Closed 3 times, on the verge of bankruptcy, financed by some mysterious millionaire. Is the Emporium a Freddy's parallel? And no, I don't think so, because Freddy's obviously exists in this story and is doing well if kids have their favorite Freddy's character. If Tickle Me Elmo in this universe is the Plushtrap chaser, I don't think that Freddy's is on the verge of bankruptcy. I don't think the Emporium is an old Freddy's or something. I think the author just chose that it had almost closed 3 times. They're trying to make the building sound old and run down and poor. It's just some flavor that kind of parallels something FNaF related.
Kind of what?
Again, if there was going to be some deep Freddy lore here, then I don't think that Scott would have let the author use the word agony in the way that she did. Oscar meets up with Raj and Isaac, who tell him that they tried to go to all the...
don't know.
Fright stories read like they stretched a 2-sentence horror story into 90 pages. I wanted a Plushtrap toy, but little did I know I received the evil Plushtrap toy. I mean, you're not far off, because I'm pretty sure Scott literally says, I write 10 pages, is it? Yeah. Scott writes 10 pages, and they have to stretch it into, they have to 9 times, they have to... That's so much, that's so weird. Because you end up, all the books are plot point, then 10 pages of nothing, then plot point, then 10 pages of nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Toy Stories in town.
That where the story continues to, it's clear what parts of the story are the author and what parts of the story are Scott. Well, depending on which author is writing it. Some of the authors very clearly have this other theme that they're writing about, and then the last 5 pages they go, oh, it's a FNaF story. I gotta have them get eaten by their dad or whatever, and then they write that in, and then they go and done. Send tweet.
The toy box, marbles, the weird organic toy place that only sells wooden toys. But they heard that the Emporium is still selling them. They saw their classmate Thad with one, and he was able to get it because his sister is dating the store's assistant manager. His sister is dating the store's assistant manager. So there's a mob of customers in the building trying to get to the counter. The boys are now second in line behind Mrs. Bestley from the school. She's told that she can only buy 1 per customer, and thus her nephews will be disappointed. She buys the last one, so now they're sold out. Yeah, I also thought the book would say out of stock. The customers start to riot. Oscar spots some staff off to the side, looking at a box that looks like the fetch box. He overhears part of their conversation. They're asking if they should call the cops.
Was that a mistake? He said box that looks like the fetch box. I'm assuming he meant box that looks like the Plushtrap chaser box. That was probably a mistake from Gibby.
I assume so, yeah.
Because that would be what? Because Fetch doesn't come in a box. Fetch is...
Yeah, it doesn't have a box. Yeah, he's just on the shelf, right?
Trap chaser to the store, but none of those employees processed the return. And they want to call the cops because this toy looks like it has human teeth. It's at this point that the assistant manager steps out to make an official announcement to the angry mob and tell them that they're out of stock. She wears a name tag that says, Tanya, assistant manager. So this is the person that Thad's sister is dating. I had already read this story when I made my video about Fetch, and so during that entire thing, I already knew that in Out of Stock there was going to be a lesbian relationship that was merely hinted at in the background if you followed the details. Fetch and Out of Stock are both written by Carly Ann West, and so I thought it was kind of important that she's definitely the kind of author who would sneak a lot of gay stuff in the background of her story when we were going over the topic of whether or not there was actually gay subtext in Fetch. I think this is more evidence that this is something that author would clearly want to include. The crowd is angry. Someone wearing a keep calm and dance on shirt is mad, which is irony and commentary on consumerism or something. Oscar sees his opportunity when Tanya turns her back. Oscar didn't think. The field is controlling Oscar, and he runs over and he grabs Fetch.
Or he's just an idiot. I know he's being sarcastic, but it's like... It's like when I'm not paying attention and I miss a step down the stairs. Like, fuck the field, damn it.
The field.
Just doing. He was just being an idiot, you know.
I love attributing literally anything that goes.
Yeah, I feel like the field would be like the only thing I'd say is the field is if you have a situation like, you know, I'm suddenly compelled to look under this particular floorboard in my house for no reason.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that would
more.
be
Yeah,
not. I'm gonna commit robbery.
No. Yeah, I think the field usually compels you outside of understanding. Like there's no
FNaF
sort
got
of...
woke.
Yeah,
you guys.
My God.
With the human teeth. And then he runs out the door with his buddies and they leave the mall and they're being chased by mall cops and they have to cut through private property.
They're being chased by
He
Dave.
left his money on the counter, so like technically they paid for it. They get home and they want to play with the toy. They finally take a good look at its yellow human-looking teeth and its clouded-over eyes. My first thought was that this was Sarah's body parts, but the eyes are a different color than Sarah's. I was writing this, I absolutely would have made that the case. Maybe in To Be Beautiful, I would have had one of the things that Sarah was self-conscious about, being that like she's missing one of her side teeth, and then when they look at the Plushtrap chaser, they see that it's also missing that tooth, and maybe I would have been like, oh, she has dull brown eyes. And then that's why people don't like her, because she's like ugly or whatever. And then when they look at the Plushtrap plush, they'll be like, oh, it has dull brown eyes. Use the exact same phrase to link these two things together. And then it'll be like, oh my god, it's Sarah's body parts. Maybe that would have been too dark. But also it would have been like vaguely hinted at. So
yes.
So in that we find out later, like right at the end of Frights, that this is Eleanor, right?
Eleanor,
this
made it.
Human teeth.
Yes.
But
I do not know whose. I don't know whose body parts it is.
Yeah, because isn't it also that Andrew's agony is on it as well, or is that because it's one of the things they collect to put in the
I'm gonna have to whip out my my Google for that one. Hold on a sec.
Oh,
Jarvis, is Andrew in the Plushtrap
sure one of the... Yeah, because I think. I don't know. I have a feeling that Eleanor was not going to be the main bad guy the whole series.
Scott's
Initially,
the greatest writer on Earth.
Like,
you just blasphemed.
Yeah.
All right, let me see.
You're right. Wasn't it like the series got extended by like 4 or 5
I think at one point it did. Yeah, at one point it did get an extension.
No, I've heard people have contradicted me on that, and they probably know more about it because I don't know a huge amount about the series, but I just remember when I was reading the stingers recently, I knew Eleanor was coming, but I was like, man, there is no setup for Eleanor at all until she just randomly flies out of the whole thing.
Okay, yes, Andrew gets onto the Plushtrap chaser, Ella, and Fetch, apparently.
Yeah, he's in all the stuff that they destroy in that stinger, and then the next stinger they're like, also Eleanor is here, and she's really important. Remember her from that second story? You remember that, right?
Plushtrap having human teeth reminds me of Baddington. And then it is like his art style. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's creepy visual.
So my thing is,
yeah, I just.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you again.
I'm the worst streamer ever. When T-Dreads would whip it out. Come on, Zach. Zach on crack again. No, I remember reading the story, and then Andrew immediately gets yeeted out of the story the second that Eleanor shows up, and it's like, well, we don't know what to do with him anymore. He's not the main bad guy. And then later, it's even funnier because in one of the latest, in the very last stinger, I think it is, or the one before that, they go, wow, it's almost like Eleanor is exactly like Andrew, but they're definitely not the same person. Like, there's literally a line in narration where Jake's like, they're almost exactly the same, but they're definitely not the same person. It's like, why did you have to specify that? It's almost like she took his place in the story.
Okay, so for whatever reason, we have right? Because I'm used to fourth closet. William Afton is a human, and he implants robotic parts into his body. Sister location, Michael's a human, he got entered inside of him. The concept of... So this is almost a Poppy Playtime scenario right here, because they have this animatronic that they are putting human parts inside of it, which is usually the opposite of how it goes in FNaF. Mm-hmm. Usually it's you have you have like a human or whatever, and Scott is like, all right, now you have entered inside of you. So to have organic human material being put into a robot, does that happen ever besides this?
Well, the stuffing of the kids.
Yeah, kind of,
but like... And one of the things Phone Guy says is that the only things that'll pop out the front of the mask are your eyes and teeth. So...
Wait, does he say eyes? Does he say teeth, too?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's for sure intentional. That's for sure intentional, then. Dude, wouldn't it be fucked up if Eleanor stuffed a baby into Plushtrap?
Stuffed a kid in here? I mean, it's 3 feet tall.
Yeah,
like, it's
they could have took
pretty big.
She pulled up to the nursery.
FNaF 1. I'm almost sure it's eyes and teeth. Yeah, eyeballs and teeth when they pop out the front of the mask. Yeah.
Okay. Jarvis, write that down.
I remember that was one of the things back in the day because people saw Chica's endo teeth in some of the cam renders, but it was just hard to see them in the other models. So people were like, "That's the kid's teeth. Those are the kid's real teeth." And it's like, no, that's endo. It's just an endo inside there.
The 12-year-olds reading it might not have picked up on it, and it wouldn't have been as scary, but it would have been there, and it would have been cool. They decide they want to play with the toy, so they put batteries in it, but it doesn't work. They note that the box says the toy walks in darkness and freezes in the light, which means this whole fantasy of playing with them in the yard just would not work, unless it is too dark for them to even see it happening.
He's not an animatronic at all, though. He's just a creature.
Yeah, but what I think the point they're making is that Agony, at least as we've been shown it, even up to this point in the series, can create like a fake version of an animatronic that actually has biological components. Like that's what Plushtrap basically is a humanoid blend of animatronic and living organism. So I guess you could argue that that's what Eleanor did. Is she didn't actually take a physical kid and put it inside of it. It's that she... created a new being out of it.
Nightmare, perhaps, because he has a brain, guys. Alright.
Mason says FNaF and Poppy Playtime comparisons are going to give me a stroke.
Dude, have you seen all those people on TikTok that are like, "How Secret of the Mimic ripped off Poppy Playtime," and they use they're like, Poppy is a original, but Poppy's literally just the Ella doll. It's just the creator's child is inside a little doll. With a dress. You stole it! Alright.
Close all the curtains in the house, but that still doesn't work. Oscar's friends go home, and then he's all sad. The next morning, he kisses his mother good morning, which he does every morning. After his dad died, Oscar took up the habit without his mom ever asking. Don't worry, it's not a kiss on the lips, it's a kiss on, the cheek or the elbow, because sometimes he can't reach. Which I guess is more evidence toward him being 12. The mom is reading the newspaper and mentions that there was a commotion at the mall where some boys stole something yesterday. She says that she knows that he was there because Irvin told her, and asks if he saw anything. The text makes it very clear that Oscar knows, that his mom knows, that he knows, that it was him. And then he lies to her. First he stole something, and then he lied to his mother.
My God.
This cretin. This is already more bad, evil things than Alec ever did in Lonely Freddy. He feels awful about this, and he goes to bed and doesn't leave it for the rest of the day.
He deserves to die,
He looks over at the Plushtrap in the corner of the room. You're worse than useless, he said to it. Or maybe he said it to himself. The next day, they go to return the toy to the mall to make up for what they did. They arrive, but the Emporium is gone. It's been replaced by an entirely new store. Hal's Halloween Hallway. They talk to the girl at the counter and she's just like, I don't know, I just work here. It's a new store. They went out of business, I guess. It's weird because this is not supernatural. It's not like they went to the store and then they came back the next day and some old man sweeping outside was like, oh, that place has been closed for 20 years. No, it's just actually just happened to go out of business that day. The day after they sold like the most best-selling toy of all time. Also, I guess the rich guy just doesn't care anymore. We also learn that it's currently a few days before Halloween, so it's mid-October.
They're probably money
so it's
laundering.
not like they couldn't pay rent on the first of the month and got evicted. It's the middle of October, the end of October. Basically just anything but the start of a month. I think it would be much more realistic if, like, during the riot they found out that the store was destroyed by the angry mob, and then the sweeping janitor walked by and is like, you know, the whole store was destroyed.
I'll write it down, Gremlin. Return to place where you got a creepy item, but it's gone, lol. Okay.
Yeah, okay. This might be stretching, but given the connection, I know Gibby was saying that it's probably just, and he's probably right, that it's just the author being like, it's an old store, it's closed 3 times. But like a Fazbear location up and closing out of nowhere gives me like Circus Baby Pizza World vibes. Where
it wasn't specifically a Fazbear location. I think it was a toy store.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's literally a Fazbear location. I just mean in terms of connections that, you know, they closed it open a few times, blah 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 blah, and then it just closed out of nowhere in the middle of, you know, what should be a successful season. But he's probably right. It's just the author doing it for some reason. I don't know why they have the store closed in terms of the story. Is it so they can't give it back?
Yeah, I think so. I think so they can't. Just sell on eBay though.
So hand of God.
Yeah, just sell on eBay.
So the author just stepping in. Yeah, just throw it out.
Put it on Amazon. Why are these ones numbered? Because if I use bullet points, I'll accidentally hotkey the stream to end. So, I'll change it after.
Right, and they weren't able to repair it, so they just left. This is me sweeping. So now it's just a spirit Halloween. This is just a me thing, but in the story Into the Pit, they mentioned dealy bobbers, which is a term that I had never heard before, so I looked it up. It's this little headband you get with the springs on them with the alien ears. So it just says dealy bobber and then doesn't tell you what that means. But in this story, it describes the girl behind the counter as wearing a pair of yellow antennae on long springs. So she's wearing a dealy bobber, but it doesn't use the phrase dealy bobber, it explains what they are. This is the kind of important details that you miss when you have more than one writer, Scott. One called them dealy bobbers and one describes them. This kind of thing will not fly around here anymore, Scott. Anyway, so the possibly 12, possibly 15-year-olds buy some Halloween costumes while they're at the store, and then realize that they can't return the toy even if they wanted to, so they go home. The kids go back to Oscar's and plan out their trick-or-treating route. Because I'm just summarizing these stories and not reading them verbatim to you guys, which would be completely illegal and violate copyright, you can't do that. I'm skipping over a lot of the fun stuff. I would never do that, guys, right? Both in the story and in Fetch, there's a lot of scenes where it's just some, like, young guys hanging out with each other, and it's very exciting. It's like an adventure film. It's like The Goonies. It's kids acting like kids, and it does make the story a lot more fun. The electricity goes out because of the storm, but then it comes right back. The boys are playing a fighting game on the video game machine. It's never mentioned what the machine is or what the fighting game is. It also keeps saying that one character is losing because the power keeps going out. I don't know if the game just turns off.
Okay, so the power... So is it really the storm that's making the power go out, or is it evil agony mimic EMP waves of doom?
They're not playing with the toys. The toy is sad, so it's turning off the power.
I think it might be evil agony EMP waves of doom.
I think it's probably that. I mean, that happens a few times in these stories, right?
I'm chat. You guys all are smart. When else does the power go out or something in FNaF? And it's like, ooh.
Don't say FNaF 1. Don't say FNaF 1.
Well, that's our fault because we use all of it. I mean, like, is there any part in a story where it's like, we're just hanging out? Oh no.
I know. In
there's a tornado in Silverrise.
It's not power related, but in Fetch, a storm is related to what's going on with Fetch, right? Like they keep mentioning a storm, like
I believe
lightning
so,
striking and stuff like that during
Fetch.
Yeah,
I believe so.
So, I think what we're doing is we're connecting this to Fetch rather than like because later power goes out in the entire neighborhood in this short. I think it's actual power outage this time. That's what dual process theory says. Mimic turns power off in the epilogues. That's true.
Or it's super mega agony. Alright, Gibby says the power goes out in Fetch too. They have a generator.
Yep. I have a generator. Yeah.
Okay, I will say storm associated with small Fazbear creature. That's what I will say.
Agony Storm.
Plushtrap is city level. Plushtrap power scaling. He's city level, bro. Alright. Plushtrap could beat Iron Man.
No chance. Megan's got no chance against
See you later, Megan.
You seen all that? Yeah.
I watched that movie that entire time. I couldn't stop thinking about how Golden Freddy would just obliterate her. All he gotta do is sit there and go, and she's done for.
Mr. Cupcake from the movie would be fine.
Plushtrap. No, I'll say small Faz creature is associated with storms. Okay.
Then turns back on, or if the entire console resets each time, maybe they're on the Switch so the TV turns off and then turns back on and the game is still running. It never explains it. It doesn't really make much sense. But Oscar isn't playing the game. He's tinkering with the Plushtrap toy. He feels like he has to, but he doesn't know why. It was like there was some reason he had to keep this thing. It's the field,
man.
That's very fetch. That's like, this is what I mean. This wasn't supposed to be Eleanor.
Guys, the field. That's the filed. The filed.
The filed.
The filed.
Oh, Gibby's conspiracy is that Megan started as a FNaF script. I would not be surprised, actually. Yeah, it's like one of those drafts that got scrapped.
Megan won.
And then they just picked it up and changed. They control F.
If it did start as a FNaF script, it was definitely the Mimic, because a genius, like tech genius, builds it for her daughter to keep her entertained and safe. So it definitely would have started out as like
the Mimic or like a Charlie bot. I mean, like Scott, they nearly did a story called "Plushies Take Manhattan." So like,
missed opportunity.
They clearly weren't sticking that. They weren't sticking that close to the source material. I'm sure they were just like, I don't know. What if Freddy got made for a kid or whatever?
True. My name is
Circus Baby. Oh, Circus Baby for Elizabeth. There you go.
But I don't even know if that actually was made for her. I think that was Elizabeth having wishful thinking.
No, it wasn't. But yeah. they listened to one cutscene. They looked up the wiki and they were
Oscar,
perfect.
it's the field. Oscar gets a phone call from his mom and she asks him if he can help out tomorrow because it's going to be understaffed because of this storm. Oscar is furious at this because tomorrow is Halloween. His mom goes, "Aren't you and your friends a little old to be?" "No! Why do you always do that? You act like I'm older, like I should be just like..."
Is 12 too old to be trick-or-treat? I think like 14, 15 is too old to be trick-or-treating.
12 is a fine. You could be 12 and trick-or-treating. Like
I think 14 or 15 is too...
That's... I mean, like, listen, go trick-or-treating as long as you're a kid, whatever, it's fine.
But then you get to go again when you're like 30, because you might have kids, and you're like, hell yeah!
just because you want to, and you're a creep, and you just want to walk around taking people's candy. I'd say this is probably part of the story that was written with the 15 in mind.
Yeah, probably.
Although, not necessarily. Why do you do that? You act like I'm older, like I should just be... It's like the mom thinks he's 15 and he thinks he's 12.
He's 12.
They both read different drafts of the book.
Yeah. God, I wish being... Ugh, I miss being a kid, bro. That shit was so fun.
Yeah.
Back when Christmas was all about, like, eating 900 cookies and getting presents, and not about making 900 cookies and spending money.
Yeah.
Oh, the good. And enjoy it while you can, chat. Enjoy it while you can, some of you.
What do I get?
Some of you young bucks. Back in my day.
With it circled. Just
true, yeah.
You need to appreciate it.
That's what I'm saying. With it circle, how old are you? All right, man. Within 5 years, your life will be over.
That's just a theory.
You, like I should be just like Dad.
But that's not a theory. It's reality.
You never let me be a kid. Dad died and you expected me to just grow up. Oscar, I stole it, okay? I stole the stupid Plushtrap toy. Your little man stole it. The power then goes out and the call is cut. And we don't get to hear his mom's reaction to this. We don't even know if she heard it. Why is there no light in the background? I'm getting those little fuzzies.
David, bro.
The fuzzies that happen when there's low light on a real camera. Why are there darkness fuzzies on my video? I'm going to talk about the mother's
This guy is not retention maxing.
In the analysis section, but this is a very important part. Oscar states pretty bluntly that he's tired of being treated like a kid and an adult simultaneously, which is, of course, just what it is to be a teenager. Or 12, I guess. It's unclear if the power goes out
No, they
because
did
it's a
not
dark
treat me
and
like an
stormy night.
adult when I was 12. That's what I mean. I'm sure they didn't. I'm sure she was mixed up when she was writing this story.
Yeah, I mean,
at 15, you start getting treated like an adult. At 12 years old, you watch The Amazing World of Gumball and eat McDonald's every day.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
I guess that's his point, though, is that she's trying to get him to grow up too quickly, which I guess might happen if the dad's passed away and he's the quote-unquote, like, the man of the house.
The man of the house.
Trope. But...
Let me make this shed for you, Mom.
Yeah, written it with one idea in mind and then was rewriting it and didn't really pick a particular age.
Don't worry, Mom. I, a 12-year-old boy, will fix your flat tire.
Or if this is a reaction to Oscar's confession. The power behind his words caused a lightning bolt to strike outside and knock out the power. Ooh, it's there to punctuate his evil deed. While examining the plush trap again, Oscar notices a charging port on it, so he decides to plug it in to charge it. But he's so poor that he doesn't have a cell phone, so he doesn't have a cell phone charger, so he has to borrow it from one of his friends. Just as he plugs it in, lightning strikes again, and Oscar gets flung across the room, and a black burn streak goes up the wall, because they were hit by lightning, and so it caused a giant spark. But
Okay, so I don't know if I'm willing to accept that that's just, like, unrelated to the rest of the happenings in the story.
No, it's all
I think this plush trap may have the wrath of God.
Yeah.
The wrath of Andrew.
Yeah, Oscar's fine. He's okay. He wakes up. He doesn't remember being passed down and thrown across the room, but it's fine.
And, revenge and whatever. So I guess you could...
Oh, yeah, it might be intentional, actually. That's doing a storm with water as, like... Yeah.
Yeah, like a flood. The Great Flood.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be okay.
God, Andrew.
Oscar, I want you to build an ark. It's the Lord, Oscar.
Hey, this also...
I would read that. That would be fire, Loki.
What?
Oscar's arc, that shit would go so hard.
Plays into the, like, is it a coincidence or is it irony magic? Because, like, did lightning strike the house just then? Or maybe plugging in the plush trap toy attracted the lightning? Or maybe the plush trap toy itself contained a lot of, like, magic energy, and so when you plugged it in, that caused the spark to happen and had the power go out? We don't know. Maybe when we find out later that the plush trap has now come to life, maybe the lightning bolt supercharged it? Like, it overflowed its battery because it was hit by lightning? Or maybe it brought it to life in a Frankenstein-type way? We don't know. So yes, the plush trap is alive now, but it's not moving because the lights come back on. Oscar gives the bad news to his friends that he can't go trick-or-treating with them tomorrow. And they say very kindly that they will share their candy with him. They make their plans to go to the other side of town, across the railroad tracks, where the rich people's houses are that give out the full-size candy bars. The power then goes out again. It seems that a lightning bolt has hit a wire, and so the entire neighborhood is out.
Sorry, Chaz. Oscar, this is God. I need you to build a Freddy's.
Oh, God.
They comment that the lights still seem to be on the other side of the tracks, so the rich people's power isn't turned off. That's what I mean when I say that, like, there's mentions of class divides, but it doesn't go anywhere. So now the house is dark. They start to hear thumping. One of his friends asks if he has a new cat. It's not a cat. It's the plush trap chaser. They grab flashlights because the power is out, and then the plush trap runs at them from the darkness. They lock themselves in another room, but the plush trap eats away at the wooden door and breaks in. This is when they remember that it freezes in light, so they shine the flashlight on it. They then spend the next 13 pages being chased.
What'd you say? What's wrong?
13. It's a weird choice to give it human teeth, considering the plush trap already had sharp teeth, and then they give it different teeth which are less
more dull.
dangerous.
Yeah. I think the implication is that those teeth have more like agony attached to them, so they're stronger even though they're not sharp. I'm sure it's not a coincidence that it has. What are you laughing at?
No, it's just the sentence, those teeth have more agony in them. Is so
I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're right. It is definitely agony stuff. It's just really funny for the toy to have sharp teeth, then put it in human teeth, but it's okay because those teeth are agony.
Yeah, they have higher stats.
Oh God.
He maxed out that build. Edwin, this is God. I need you to build the mimic.
They shine the light on him, but the light's running out of batteries, it flickers, it moves. They try to use their phones, but it's not bright enough unless it's close, and then they drop their phone, and the Plushtrap steps on it and crushes it, breaks the phone. They're running around for 13 pages. The kids ask themselves if it was brought to life with the lightning bolt, which mirrors the other 37 stories I've talked about, where the monster is just Frankenstein. The Plushtrap has a speaker.
Oh, the one we should not have killed is. Ah, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
You better rewrite your script, Bozo.
Yeah, I am. I've already scrapped it. I deleted every file on my computer.
And it starts mimicking voices. It pretends to be.
It starts what?
It's just Frankenstein. The Plushtrap has a speaker and it starts mimicking.
So dual process of saying that the endos stop when they see light too.
Oh yeah.
And they have the mimic AI in them. Light only stuns withered Foxy though. We don't have a flashlight in Secret of the Mimic, so we don't know how the mimic would react to. No.
Okay.
Cause the camera stuns all the endos, which we know how the mimic AI. So the Plushtrap chaser is the fucking mimic.
Here's my here's my hot take. Thing mimicking voices and moving in the dark is scary. That's the only reason they both do it. There's no tissue connecting them whatsoever.
Counterpoint.
It's just someone went.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Susie's dog is one you shouldn't have killed. True. Root beer floats. Damn, why'd you have to make your name Root Beer Floats? That sounds good right now. I want a root beer float.
Root for beer floats. Oh, root for beer float. That's good. Gibby says the light confuses them. Them being the mimic endos? I don't know.
No, it makes them go, oh, fuck you, Gregory. God is David. True. Gibby's finally come around.
It pretends to be Oscar's mom at the front door, to trick them into running to try to save her. But they realize what it's doing pretty quickly. They come up with a plan. They need to get into
intelligent. It's whatever it is smart.
Yeah, it's got Andrew in it.
Andrew's an idiot.
Or both of them in it.
Andrew's a fucking... Andrew's like 9. Yeah, I would say Eleanor is
Fetch was able to do stuff as well.
All right, hold on.
Fetch did stuff. Fetch dug itself out of the ground and reassembled itself.
All right, well, I'll just say smart mimic.
Dog
smart
is named
mimicker.
What?
Smart mimicker.
The light, so they need to cross the train tracks to get to the other side of town. They run down the road, they try to lock the Plushtrap in the garage, and they sprint and they're running and they're running and they're running, they're out of breath and it's scary and it's tense, and they get to the train tracks that symbolically separate them from the rich people, but it's also literally train tracks, and a train is coming, and Oscar is scared because if he stays on this side of the train and then it passes, he's gonna get eaten by the Plushtrap, but if he jumps and then it misses, he's gonna get hit by the train. His friends have already crossed and they're screaming, they're like, Oscar, you gotta do it, you gotta run or you're gonna die. And then he remembers Mr. Devereaux saying, sometimes you just have to go for it, even when it doesn't look possible. And then in his head he hears his mom saying, little man, I need you. And this gives him the faith and the strength and the energy to jump in front of the moving train. The Plushtrap is right behind him on his heels, and it gets hit by the train. It's just obliterated. The next day, Oscar hands out candy at the old folks' home for Halloween. He visits Mr. Devereaux, who's just...
See, but like that summary he gave, that did not need to be like 90 pages. That could have been like 20 pages.
In terms of like the whole book?
The story, yeah. Like it's almost like you don't have 3 acts. I mean,
it probably was.
It's It's just, hey, it's kids, go to the store. Plushtrap chaser made out of human
honestly,
parts.
Listening to this recap, I can't imagine it being the full 90 page. Like 90 pages is a lot.
Lightning, and then it gets hit by a train. That's the whole story.
Yeah.
The toy was late evil, I'm afraid.
Disappointed in the candy bars he's getting and
they
says
run away for 13 whole pages. Oh yes. See, at least the Silver Eyes is like readable.
Here. But I'm glad I did the digging, said Oscar, because the soil is his work, his hard work in life, and also his desire to get something in reward for his nice work, and the bad crop is the cursed evil Plushtrap chaser. So digging in the soil is doing hard work, so he's glad that he's back here and working on Halloween, even though he didn't get anything in return. Oscar thinks about how him lying to his mom probably hurt her more than the damage he did to the physical house. So he goes out and he buys her favorite candy for Halloween. They go and have a nice moment in the break room, and then they make up. I'm going to read the last few paragraphs of the story. Keep in mind that this story is about lying.
He survived in the end because he perfectly had all his morals figured out when he was 12 years old. If you're 12 years old and are not moral perfection, the likes of Jesus Christ, you deserve to die. So
I think Gibby is going to go into that.
Is he?
If I remember correctly.
Okay.
I think it's all about like the weirdness of the story being about growing up but not growing up or something. I remember this vaguely from when I watched it.
Fazbear Frights' motto is: if you're 12 and you don't have it all figured out, death. You deserve to die. If you're 12.
It's Goosebumps.
And stealing and running from responsibility, and also literally running from an evil Plushtrap toy. But this is how the story decides to end. When he handed it to her, she smiled, but he thought she hadn't looked that sad since his dad died. Still, she pulled him in for the tightest, rib-cracking hug in recent memory. And even though he could barely breathe under her fierce grip, he was so happy to know that he hadn't completely destroyed her. I never meant to depend on you so much, she whispered, while she held him. And Oscar was surprised. He'd thought his dad was the reason for her sadness. He'd never considered she might be the reason. It's okay. And he surprised himself by meaning it. It really was okay.
When he handed it to her, she smiled, but he didn't look that sad since his dad died. Still, she pulled him in for the tightest rib-cracking hug in recent memory, and even though he could barely breathe on her fierce grip, he was happy that he hadn't completely destroyed her. I never meant to depend on you so much, she whispered while she held him, and Oscar was surprised. He thought his dad was the reason for her sadness. He never considered that she might be there. So was he, like, smack-talking his mom?
Is that a typo? Yeah, what is that? Because that feels like it's either... Not saying Gibby did a typo, just in the book.
Is that... Well, that makes him kind of sound like an asshole.
Yeah, he thought.
Why
his
are you
dad
sad your husband died, idiot?
He thought his dad was the. Well, I assume the reading from reading it, I would be like, he thought his dad was the reason for his sadness. He'd never considered she might be the reason. But then again, what? So it's her own fault for
being sad,
depending on him. Yeah.
Gibby, help! Use your media literacy,
okay.
Unk. I need the Unk literacy. What does this mean?
We might be doing a GT live right now, and he's going to explain it now in the next 3 seconds.
True. Let's see.
Okay, not all the time, but he thought that maybe that made the good times better. Like when his mom liked the present he made for her, or when his friends put their actual lives on the line just so he wouldn't face a monster alone. It's okay, he said. And he let her hug him for a good long while.
He has no idea.
So it's very sweet. But the last note that the story ends on is the mother's character arc, which I'm now going to go over in the analysis section. I think that the most obvious moral of this story is to not lie or steal. I don't even think I have to go over that one, although there's also something there about appreciating and like taking time for yourself and rewarding yourself for doing hard work. But what's more interesting is the story being told about Oscar's mom. She calls him LM, or Little Man, throughout the story. And this is how she sees him. Whether he's 12 or 15, it doesn't matter. She's still treating him like a man because his dad is gone. This imposes a lot of responsibility.
I mean, she herself is the reason she's sad. That's quite a philosophical view for a 12-year-old to come to.
Yeah, and like, for her, that's not really...
on him. For one, he...
Even what the context of that scenario is.
Yeah.
She's not sad... She's sad. Okay, that might be it.
And it's like his mother hugs him after he almost dies and starts crying. She starts crying, and that's what makes him realize that she's pathetic.
No, I think it's more that he's like, I thought she could only ever be sad because of what happened to Dad, but now I'm realizing right now in this moment she's sad because of how she treated me.
Okay.
Right.
He's caring for...
I mean, the wording could have... That's some T-Dread script writing type wording. So
elderly person doing a job that should require minimal medical training at least, and also a background check, and he's also not legally old enough to work at a McDonald's. So her asking him to skip Halloween is obviously a very overt representation of her expecting him to be older than he really is, and he rightfully calls her out for this. Him kissing her on the cheek could also be seen as him acting older. It calls to mind a husband in the 50s kissing his wife goodbye on the way to work. And then at the end of the story, she explicitly states that she's learned this lesson. It's just an odd thing to end the story with this, because this was going on in the background. It wasn't Oscar's plot. It wasn't the main issue of the story. That was his guilt. It also seems to imply that the good outcome of the story is Oscar now being treated more like a child. Stories like this often have a young character go through something like hard, and then that hardship grows them up, and now they come out on the other side and like they're an adult now. He went in a boy wanting a toy, and he came out a man who killed something with a train. But the end of the story.
I don't like to smack talk Scott. All right, I'm sorry. I don't like to talk bad about Scott Cawthon, but I feel like
you love smack talk.
If you gave Five Nights at Freddy's to fucking almost any like competent horror writer on earth, they would make some absolute banger out of it. Not fucking Lonely Freddy and Out of Stock.
Well, it's because these are being written for the young demographic, so they're being written.
But you
in
have
the
kids
style
shows
of
that are good.
I don't mean to imply that if it's a kids thing, it's bad.
Yeah.
I just mean I think the format is, quick morality tale. No parents are going to read it and go, oh my God, what is this? They're going to go, oh, it's like a silly story where something scary chases some kids for 13 pages and then gets hit by a train. Like, I think it's that kind of inoffensive horror, quote unquote. I think there's a disconnect sometimes between what the older fans want and what the series is trying to do in terms of its marketability.
I almost like for the movie. I almost for a while I really did not like the first movie because I felt that it was incredibly. It was the equivalent of water flavored ice cream. Whereas like it just set everything up so basically with no like. That's right, Mike. I'm William Afton, and I killed kids, and you're sad that your brother's dead. Roll credits, Mike. Like it was a very but I'm learning to like forgive that because it's part of a series, and so it's kind of like asking why doesn't Harry Potter kill Voldemort in Sorcerer's Stone, or sorry, Philosopher's Stone.
I think it's a little different
because you're not.
I think it's a little different considering the basis, the basis of the FNaF series being on child murder and like the possession of children and robots that are like killer animatronics.
What is this guy saying?
I think there is definitely a feeling of that movie.
Help wanted, one spams fun. Secret of the Mimic is greater than think of memory when you hear fun in quotes. I don't know what he's saying. True or false? Congratulations or sorry that happened. All right. You mean ice milk?
But yeah, I think the movie, like the movie is definitely another. I think the movie. Gibby makes a good point that the real Jake and the Breaking Wheel are quite not in that genre of like, oh, silly story about a thing chasing you.
Give us a tumor, and then you compare that.
The movie is definitely that where the movie is like and I don't hate the movie or anything like that. I think there's a lot of potential for a FNaF film that didn't necessarily like realize in terms of a cool dark story or whatever, but that's just a preference. But like my mom and my sister watched the FNaF movie a little while, I think, after I made my first video, because they were like, oh yeah, this thing that you do now, let's watch that. And I talked to my mom after she watched it, and she was like, oh, that was fun, that was cool. And I was like, what did you think of it tonally? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, it felt quite like, she was like, oh, it's just like, it was like a silly, fun thing for kids. And I was like, isn't it kind of weird that it's about like kids getting murdered? And she went, oh yeah. I kind of forgot that was the whole thing by the end of it, because it didn't really come up that much. And then you've got, your supervillain walking out in his mech suit at the end going, I killed your brother, and now I'll kill you. Symmetry, my friend.
DJ Sigma. Oh my goodness.
DJ Sigma's in the chat.
Out of stock graphic novel is cool.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, It's definitely more along the lines of what I'd expect from like a horror comic, that you're going to do something a bit wild with, you know. I kind of wish they did a bit more of that. Like, I would adore a FNaF comic in the style of the Batman Arkham Asylum comic. It's not based on the game. It came out before the game, but it has this really cool like painterly art style. It's really amazing if no one's seen it.
Yeah, but now we got Dave with a low taper.
Like that. Now we do got Dave with a low
Imagine
taper.
if David got a low taper. I'm pretty sure they canceled that book because it was like
it did
partially chopped.
I just sent an image there of the comic. That would be a sick art style for a FNaF comic.
Let me see here.
Just like real painterly, kind of abstracty, uncomfortable to look at.
Oh yeah, that would be so cool. But you know, the movie takes a lot from the Silver Eyes in the way it is written. Obviously, it's not the Silver Eyes, but you have the like main character when he's young, his brother gets kidnapped. Right, guys? I hope. And then you have takes a kid there, like Jason. There's a kid named Jason. And the animatronics are mostly chill with him until Afton starts messing with them. But to my knowledge, there's a specific few passages. Yeah. Well, I'm saying those two beats are particularly from the Silver Eyes, because obviously in the games we never get to see the animatronics being friendly to kids while they're possessed. It's usually always the animatronics.
Yeah, we hear about it in 2.
Yes, we hear about it, but we never get to see it. The way it's structured, especially with they're going to Freddy's after it closes and there's a guy that doesn't want it to get destroyed. Same thing. William Afton takes positions where he can oversee Freddy's and make sure nothing happens to it. So,
yeah, it's very much a blend of a couple of different FNaF stories.
Godspeed Spider-Man. That's actually a possibility that plot twist happens. That plot twist could absolutely happen.
Which one?
I didn't take your brother, Mike. I took you.
Yeah. What is he, a robot? Or...
Yeah, he'd be a robot.
Oh my god.
Which there was foreshadowing to, by the way. I don't know
if they're gonna peel off his face and he's gonna be a robot.
Because Michael, or I think Matt Pat, said that he felt like Charlie being a robot was a bit of a ass pull. But it's absolutely planned from the beginning. Like if the guy just read this over recently, and also at the end, William Afton's like, he looks at Charlie and he's like, "Wow, you are so beautiful, aren't you?" And you think like, "Oh wow, he's just like a creep," because she's like 17 at the time when the story happens, and he's like 50. But what he really is saying is like, "Wow, you're a robot. That's awesome." So,
yeah,
that's what he means by that.
Yeah. Dual process. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I hear "I didn't take your brother, Mike" in the theater this December, I will start eating the furniture around me. Yeah, I mean, like in the book, there's all this stuff about the fourth closet and like, oh, it's open and what's that one about? And there's like a flashback to where Henry is like, "You'll grow into that closet" or something he says. So it's like, the twist was planned. It's just
it's your big girl closet that you'll someday grow into.
Yeah, it's like it was planned, but it's also, no matter what way you foreshadow that, when you suddenly pull the rug out and you go, actually this character who's been acting like a normal human that's also a robot in this series that has not had human realistic robots before, it will always feel strange. And then they have to go, "Yeah, but you can bleed and sleep and stuff," and they go, "Yeah, the robot was made to do all that as well." You go, "What?" It is like a working
and it has an entire understanding of like social dynamics and like what makes something awkward and what all this stuff. It's crazy.
If they hadn't had her be able to bleed, I would at least be like, okay, it's just a super smart AI with ghosts involved somehow, and it can just learn to be a regular person. But the fact it does feel like backwards, rewriting when they're going, "Oh yeah, I forgot we made her bleed. We have to explain that the robot's just able to do that as well."
I think what gives it all the capabilities it has isn't Henry's programming, but the agony.
You think it bleeds because of agony? I thought it was designed to do that, to just be like a perfect replication of a human.
Yeah, but the first one, the first Charlie, is literally just like you open up her stomach like a fridge and you put Ella in there. So the first Charlie does not even have organs. Yeah. It's just you open it up like a fridge door and Ella goes in there. So the first Charlie didn't even have
it could have
a stomach.
Yeah, but it could have. I mean, she has to eat and stuff, so like she probably has the little Ella doll in there, and then also around it, it's got fake organs or what. Like, does she? She has to go to the toilet and stuff. Like, there's so much stuff that would have to be worked around for no reason.
Henry building, programming his daughter to shit. You see his calendar on the wall. Thursday. Ah, yeah, shit day.
Thursday. Shit day.
He's doing like whole calculations. Like, dang, no. Oh man, why is it so solid? Increasing fiber protocols.
Oh god.
Introducing flakes of corn, introducing grains of corn into the mix.
Oh my god. It's all wrong. He
throws the shit at the wall. I'm just throwing shit at the wall.
Big chat. Cancel the stream. Did she have periods? Dual process theory asked the question.
Damn.
Did Henry program cramps in? Surely he did. It'd be kind of cool if you had that in the story where she like is having trouble like relating to people because feels like she's just like going to be a really late bloomer, but she's not having all these like things happening to her that she thinks should be happening.
Yeah, she's
and you
also
have a whole
like
thing about her not feeling like she fits in, but it's like no, she's a perfect replication of a human being, except she doesn't age.
She's also like hormonal. It's not in the Silver Eyes, but in the Twisted Ones when she's like in college, she has like romantic thoughts about John. So did he also program her to like develop sexuality? Like it's like how much was him actually programming it, and how much is like it's basically just a real person now.
Because the kids shouldn't technically age after they're dead, right? Like it's not like
I don't think it's the kid's ghost.
It's not like Susie is like, I'm 35 now. Like she's, I've been Chica for 30 years. It's like they stay their dead age, but I guess Charlie
that's what I mean. Well, I don't think it's actually Charlie's. I think it's Henry's memory of what he wanted Charlie's life to go like.
So I guess
personified.
Magic.
Chat, I'm just asking the real question. I'm just asking what's in the story, okay? I'm just asking what's going on. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, we're just asking about the mechanics of the situation.
I'm asking how does he program a robot to develop specific human tendencies at certain like ages? Like how big does your brain have to be to do that?
Yeah, also Gibby made a good point. Henry, when he makes a sapient robot, and instead of advancing science by hundreds of years, he just makes it live as a teenager. Yeah, I mean that's everything in FNaF, right? It's like, man, any other scientist could have benefited a lot from what all of these characters were researching and figuring out. Oh man. Elizabeth tells her, "You're not Charlie. You're the ghost of a man's regret." That's a fire line, though. That's kind of a fucking great line.
Yeah, okay, so that would work better.
Yeah.
Chad, I'm sorry if we got uncomfortable talking about robots with
J-Lady,
certain
I don't
tendencies,
want to read that comment, but read J-Lady's line, anyone. That's a crazy comment.
Yeah. Me personally, if I was Henry, I would not be programming that in on purpose. I'd be like, a little awkward.
That's the most that's the end of the line of the dad like disapproving trope.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I'm just gonna program her not to have those feelings ever. It's perfect.
Yeah. That's what I feel like. There's so much human intricacy to Charlie in the novels that I feel like a lot of it has to be the agony and not actually Henry's like robotic genius, right? Because I don't even think Henry could do all that.
No, I mean, yeah, they kind of hand wave it and just go, "No, he made it that she's able to bleed." But like, yeah. I think it's really funny. The idea of Charlie is like talking to somebody one day when she's like 17 and they're just talking about regular stuff, and she's like, "Yeah, and you know when you have to empty out your waste sack, you know, like you have to open up your stomach and
like it's a vacuum."
They're like, "What?" Yeah. She just doesn't know.
Just dumping out all the filth.
That's how people. Yeah, she just thinks that's what everyone does now. Like, what are you talking about?
I think Movie Mike is going to be a robot, and Garrett is going to be that universe's version of Sammy. I hope not. He better not.
Yeah,
be.
They do like a Terminator Salvation where he's like strapped to a chair and he looks down and he's got like spring locks inside of him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's how you do Ennard. He's got Ennard inside of him, but he had him inside of him the whole time. We didn't know.
Okay. All right, chat. Well, we're done talking about Henry making 18-year-old robots have feelings about boys. Let's continue with the
story. Is that he's now going to be treated more like a child.
Don't you love Scott's writing? Isn't it truly marvelous?
Okay, so moving on. Quote, there sat a mangled box that looked like it had been rescued from a trash compactor. Like the other stories in Fazbear Frights, we're learning that the antagonist is from a junkyard. Eleanor, Funtime Freddy, now the Plushtrap Chaser are from junkyards.
Sure, I'll write that down. Why not? Boom. Boom.
Mike Schmidt is a Mike Afton mimic. Can you imagine? It's God David, but it's with Mike.
That'll be absolutely fucking crazy.
The Mike bot, the Mike victim people would rise up.
Animatronic from
Henry also killed himself knowing the oldest Charlie bot he made was like 16, so she'd be stuck like that forever. Yeah, eventually she's gonna get like cut open by a bunch of scientists on a table.
The oldest one he finished was 16, I think. I believe Charlie in the 4th is supposed to be early 20s.
Yeah, but like he didn't build all of them.
Yeah, like an elderly
like
woman.
Planned to build her one when she what was he gonna do after she was supposed to turn like 50? Like was he just gonna kill her? Like
she just ages gracefully, dude.
Very gracefully for hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. That's why Henry killed himself.
That's crazy.
He got spring locks inside of him, dog.
Animatronic from junkyard. So that's interesting. Yeah, Eleanor is in a junkyard. Fetch is not, I don't think. Or Lonely Freddy was. That's right. Her father. It's all dirty. I think her father found it. Not Lonely Freddy. Sorry. Funtime Freddy. So. Oh, yeah. But again, you know what's fucking annoying about that? Is that's another like. Eleanor kind of looks like Baby, and then there's literally Funtime Freddy, and then you're also linking Plushtrap in with those sister location-esque animatronics, which again, FNaF 4 is part of the sister location bunker, so they're linked there. It's so weird how certain things overlap.
Yeah, I think it's...
The Stitch Wraith collects garbage.
Like, Fetch and stuff, and he's nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be important. When they steal Fetch and are running from Paul Blart, they see the exit sign in front of them. The east entrance glowed ahead like a beacon of safety, because in this story, light is safety. The climax of the story has them running toward the light, and this is really the only other time in the story where they're in danger and they're also being chased by something, and in this case, the light is also their safety. When they escape the mall cops, we get the first indication that the Plushtrap Chaser is like a manifestation of Oscar's wrongdoings. They knew everything about what they'd just done was wrong. Instead of facing that, he tried to outrun it. They then spend the entire rest of the story outrunning the thing that they stole. So Oscar literally thinks to himself, after noting how gross the toy looks with its human teeth, "That's why they were freaked out," Oscar mumbled. And he only realized he said that last bit out loud when Raj and Isaac turned to stare at him. "This is my punishment," Oscar thought. "This is what I get for being an idiot and stealing this stupid toy." So the punishment is literally the toy, but also the judgment of his friends for stealing, like, the wrong one. We know that Scott writes 10-page outlines for these stories, and then the authors expand on them, so I really wonder if Scott wanted this story to be about the mom treating Oscar like he's older than he is, and then the author added all this stuff about him feeling guilty and stealing and lying, or if it was the other way around. Did Scott want the story to be about stealing and lying, and the author added in the stuff about the mother treating him like an adult? Either way, the story suffers from a lot of the same issues that the other Fazbear Frights stories do, which is that they lack polish and consistency, even internally in this book's case, because the characters' ages are literally contradicted. The store is going out of business on October 30th, which is just silly when there's so many other ways of getting around this, and the Plushtrap Chaser is supposed to work only in darkness, but it's also a toy for children that you're supposed to run from, so children are running from something in the darkness. It's just not realistic. Okay, let's move on to the lore. Since we will come to learn that Fetch and Out of Stock are both in the Stitch line, we have a weird circumstance
I've had enough
here.
Of this
in Fetch and in Into the Pit, no one knows what Freddy's is anymore. But in Out of Stock and To Be Beautiful, the main characters actively have Freddy's merchandise. Sarah had a Freddy doll, and Oscar's favorite character from the Freddy's world is the Plushtrap. This isn't like a problem or an inconsistency, it just places the other two stories earlier in the timeline, because we know that To Be Beautiful, and as we will come to learn, Out of Stock, are happening like with the Stitch line, with the Stitch Wraith. The Stitch Wraith actively is involved in these cases. This is all like happening the same week as each other, whereas Into the Pit and Fetch happened prior. For Plushtrap to exist, that means that the Help Wanted game has already happened, that Fazbear now owns the fake indie devs games characters that were made in-universe, because Plushtrap is only a character that exists in the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 game. It's not like a character that used to exist. For time period stuff, Mr. Devereaux alludes to iPhones existing, so we know that it's after the invention of the iPhone. The story also happens at the same time as the Stitch Wraith Stinger, so anything that happens in them can also be used to narrow down the time that this occurs. They note that the toy has a speaker in it, but that the commercials don't say that the toy comes with a speaker. The speaker is obviously used to mimic voices, so that's why this one has it. But Raj asks, what does a rabbit even sound like? Okay, so if these boys had ever been to a Freddy's, they'd know what Bonnie sounds like. And if they ever watched the Freddy's TV show, they'd know what Bonnie sounds like. So they have enough knowledge of Freddy's to have a favorite character, that being Plushtrap, but not enough to have ever heard Bonnie speak, which is weird. Then again, you guys have never heard Toto speak. He's saving speaking for later. If there's no restaurants and no TV shows, then why is the Plushtrap Chaser the biggest toy of all time, and why is it Oscar's favorite character? Freddy's cannot have that much brand relevance if they've never heard Bonnie speak. The Stitch Wraith Stinger at the end of this book actually picks up immediately after Out of Stock. It's kind of like an epilogue to this story. So that's what we'll talk about next. Thank you for watching. Be sure to be nice to each other in the comments.
So that was probably the least we have so far. That's probably the most nothing burger story.
Yeah. So, sorry, Gibby there was saying that they don't know what Bonnie sounds like. Is that because when Plushtrap talks, he sounds weird?
No, he just says, like, what does a rabbit even sound like? So, and he thinks that if they knew what Bonnie sounded like, they'd expect it to sound like Bonnie.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, because it's a rabbit. I was going to say, like, oh, technically, we don't know that it's the same character as Bonnie, but it's just a rabbit. So
no, I believe this is the first stinger where we meet Andrew in the Bitch Wraith, so...
Hello and welcome to the Horror Homestead. My name is Gibby, and we're going to summarize, analyze, and read the second Stitch Wraith Stinger at the end of the book Fetch by Fazbear Entertainment, because I believe that this book takes place within the continuity of the games, but not like actually in the games. I mean that this book actually exists in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. That's called Frights fiction. It's a theory that we're going to be working on. Each book ends with a chapter in the ongoing Stitch Wraith Stinger epilogues, and so today we're going to be going over corrections and insights from the last 3 videos I've made, and also looking at the Stitch Wraith Stinger. So let's start with a discussion about Fetch. Fetch's eyes change color throughout the Fetch story, which seems to indicate that they're LEDs, or else they used magic to change colors, because it would have been really difficult to change light bulb colors back in the 80s just using a normal light bulb. So that might be a depiction of the time period he was made in, or it might be magic. Also in Fetch, there's a reference to the writer...
You know who else changes eyeballs through magic? The Mimic! And Circus Baby.
Henry James.
Oh wait, he's unmuted.
Greg quote...
Wait, he is muted. Look at this guy. Haha, muted. Everyone point and laugh. Alright.
Quotes him at one of the bully characters, and then the bully walks away. Manuel touched Greg's shoulder. I like Henry James too. He grinned and held out a fist. Henry James was a writer in the 1800s and is one of those historical figures that modern scholars think was clearly gay. So Greg quoting him is one thing, but Manuel touching his shoulder and saying, hey, I like him too, is just more subtext that Greg and Manuel are gay. This was pointed out to me by userGayWizard on Twitter. I also want to talk about the letter that I got in Lonely Freddy. I want to once again thank him for the good insight he was able to add to that video, but I did get two kinds of weird comments about this. The first are people who accused it of being written by ChatGPT, and no, it was written by someone who actually has a degree in philosophy. It literally took him 2 weeks and he did it in his free time. And two were people who seemed to think that he was a professor at the University of Cambridge with a D. Those people clearly didn't pay enough attention to the end of the letter where it said that he was a University of Cambridge without a D, professor of cosmetology, over in C197. Come on guys, Dr. Professor Sleeve McDykel. Now let's talk about the Stitch Wraith Stinger. We begin with an epilogue to Out of Stock. A hobo named Grim is chilling by the train tracks in Oscar's town. He sees a strange figure, the Stitch Wraith obviously, picking up pieces of the Plushtrap chaser from the ground by the train track.
How the fuck does he know where all this shit is? Does he have a fucking Andrew radar? Because Andrew can Andrew smell himself? Like a dog?
Yeah, field. I don't know. I think they do say in one of the stingers, it's like, oh, they can sense. They used their feelings to find out where all the pieces were. Like they don't. It's just magic. It's whatever magic makes anything
Analog
happen.
horror T-dreads. Analog horror. Alright.
She-Man on my room, July 1280.
We learn a lot about Grimm's backstory. He used to be a professor, but he has some serious mental problems and he's been homeless for a while. Grimm is just a nickname he got, like the Grim Reaper. Being a homeless, mentally ill former professor living by the train tracks is also the future that Dr. Professor Sleeve McDykel will face if he doesn't figure out how to engineer Toto some legs. We then cut to Detective Larson. The cliffhanger at the end of the last story was that he was going to take on the Stitch Wraith case, but that he wouldn't believe where they tied his mask to. We don't know what that means. It's probably Freddy's, but we don't know. Maybe it's this place he currently is. This place he currently is a house. It's a small house next to a big house. He knocks on the door of the small house, and a brown-haired woman lets him inside. He says that he's there on police business, but he doesn't have a warrant. The woman's name is Margie. She's been living there for 3 years. She was hired to take care of a sick boy while his father was overseas, but then he passed away. Larson notes that she doesn't specify if the father died or the kid died. I wonder if this is going to be important later. Margie starts crying, thinking about her past. Larson is drawn to this one room that has this one cabinet, and it is totally the field drawing him there. The cabinet was right in front of him. He hadn't realized he'd reached it. Now he had to see what was inside of it. At the same time he was drawn to it, he felt an inexplicable reluctance to open the cabinet door. The field. He opens the cabinet and finds black scribblings all over the inside. They're like nonsense letters with harsh pen strokes.
So that's the Jake Cabinet of Doom, right?
It's actually Edwin wrote that, like in the mic room.
Larson could see no meaning in the scrawls, but nonetheless, they gave him the same feeling he'd had when he looked at the recent grotesque death reports. Larson turned and looked at Margie. What happened in this house? Another cliffhanger. We also didn't resolve the cliffhanger from the first one. But that is Stitch Wraith Stinger number 2. We actually do get to see the Stitch Wraith this time, and I like that he was also picking up junk, which I think plays into the overall repeating motif of the monsters in these stories being junk. Fetch is destroyed into bits and then reforms. The Plushtrap is broken. Lonely Freddy is...
So he's recycled.
Recycling.
Oh my god, it's Dolly is the mimic.
Thrown in the trash. I talked last time about how Larson is a hard-boiled detective, and his constant thoughts about how attractive Margie is also a trope for that kind of detective. A pretty young woman with almost cartoon large eyes and shoulder-length brown hair looked at the detective. She was close enough for him to smell what he assumed was her soap or shampoo.
Me when my eyes pop out of my head.
Nothing heavy or alluring like perfume or cologne.
Like in Looney Tunes?
In spite of the makeup she wore, he got the impression
that's how Larson being right now.
About doing things to impress others. He wondered if that was why he found...
Your eyes pop out of your head, you gotta slap them back in.
You gotta... you have to like pull them back and then they just like back into your head.
Her attractive. He liked her simple transparency. Larson couldn't help himself. He reached out and rubbed the side of its face. Suddenly aware he was very close to Margie, he stepped back. That last one, it was a cat that he rubbed the side of the face of. He didn't rub Margie's face, it was a cat. But yeah, that very much gives me the vibe of like, she was a pretty dame, she just happened to walk into my office that night. That's my hard-boiled detective voice. Also, do we know who's writing these? Because I think it's Scott. The writing style is very practical.
Scott is writing the down bad Larson. Yeah.
It doesn't match any of the other writing styles from the stories that we've been reading. I think whoever wrote it would have to have their name somewhere, so I'm guessing Scott. The back cover of the book says that the theme of all of these stories is about losing control. I think the thing that actually connects these stories is being rejected by society, and then how the character responds to that. Greg is a nerd who gets bullied for it, and his father hates him, and he's also totally gay, and his attempt to control the world blows up back in his face. It's a monkey flying an airplane. Alec is rejected by society because he labels himself an outsider and thus intentionally keeps up this attitude even though he doesn't want to. He just thinks that he should. Like he has to be bad. His parents are horrible, but ultimately it's Alec who separates himself off from society. He does this so much that he's literally thrown in the trash because of his own actions. And Oscar is very, very poor, and his life situation where his dad died is obviously very sad. And the toy he wants is being released at a time when kids are in school, so you can add being a kid to the category of thing that society doesn't care about.
Alright, I'm gonna get a water because I'm immensely dehydrated.
Okay.
Let me peep real quick if there's any content that I can steal by punching up. We got what was FNaF 1 really about with 1.2 million views.
Perfect.
That feels like punching up to me.
I don't know, you're getting close. Like
I am. My world famous T-Dreads, God David. What's that? I like how they just have the Toy Chica Gyat right
How it'll
here.
feel.
Who's the hottest FNaF animatronic with 4 million views? It's crazy. Alright.
Oh my god. What will you do when you can't punch up anymore? What's gonna happen?
Cry.
Cry. And
588,000. Damn, bro. That's the goat dreads right there. Goat. Alright, they're saying...
I can entertain chat.
They're saying to watch it while I get my water. You know what I do want to do? What would be funny? I've seen some of my friends play this. I want to do the trolley problem with you. So I can morally judge
me?
Yeah, let me morally judge your character.
What? I know what the trolley problem is.
No, there's like a bunch of different ones. Is it this one?
Oh my god.
It is this one. Okay, chat. We're gonna test Unwithered Truth's morality. I'll be right back. I'm getting a water.
What? I can't even.
Purple gas on.
Can't even play it while he's gone. Purple gas on. All right, chat. Hit me with the. Oh man, Gibby, the new Spider-Man Superman video is so good, guys. If you don't know, Gibby's got another channel. He's got 2 other channels, I think. But one of them, he just did a Spider-Man Superman crossover video. It was great. It felt like stepping into the wrong universe when I was watching Gibby. It even had FNaF music in it. I was so thrown. Chat, any questions? Anything crazy? Make the right choice. Thank you. That's helpful. The one person is Hudson. All right, then I'm definitely pulling the lever. 100%. Guide us ethically on Wither Tree. Listen, I think great power, great responsibility. It's not a good position to be in, but I think that you are responsible for the death of the 5 people if you don't pull the lever, because you have the ability to interact and you have the ability to get in there.
T-Dreads call me the drink.
I think pull that lever, bro.
Yeah, we kill this guy.
Look, I don't want to do it, but I'm just saying you are responsible morally if you don't act in a situation
what
where
if
you
we
can,
don't pull the lever and we start laughing?
Can we pull the lever, bring it back, and then pull it again so it re-switches back? So we
Say,
kill all
just
6,
kidding!
like William. This is the MCI and Andrew. Kill Andrew.
All right, fine. Kill this guy. Die. All right.
Sorry. 73% of people agree. Look, it's not great.
See how to come in. All right, next.
Just kidding. Oh, yeah,
kill 5 or kill 4? Yeah, I guess. Die.
Like by the same logic. By the same logic, you do.
Okay, you can pull the lever to divert it to the other track, but then your life savings will be destroyed. I feel like I couldn't live. I feel like it's better to be able to live with yourself than to have.
Yeah.
Plus, I am in a good position. My life savings, not that much at the moment.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's what I mean. No, like it's life versus material gain. It's like
wait, we should put on some lo-fi music while we do this.
Some lo-fi.
No copyright.
MCI or MCM? Someone asking the real question: how can you pull the lever if you're tied down?
The field.
It's a trick question. The field. Yeah, I mean, okay, if we're talking about pure morals, it's still the same scenario. It's 1 versus 5. You should probably pull the lever. Like, from a pure standpoint of like, oh, 1 person is less than 5 people. So like,
yeah,
I can't say that I would if I were in that scenario. I can't say that I would be like, oh yeah, 100% I would. But I think morally, if we're judging it based on what else is happening, like based on the other previous questions, the fact that it's you shouldn't really change it, but it's like, yeah, it will impact your decision making. I guess say pull the lever.
I think it would depend
like, from a purely like.
If this actually happened to me, I think it would depend on where I was in life at the time.
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah, it would depend on if you would do it, but I think we're more so speaking pure, like, because we're not given enough details. Is
yeah,
the
but
point.
Let's say like let's say
some
you're
of
like
these, like have like, oh, your best friend is on the other.
Let's
track.
say you're like
it,
you know 80, you got arthritis, and your wife is dead. Like at that point, are you really gonna be like, no, I need, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean. Is that's the point of the dilemma is like you don't have enough information. You're purely going off of numbers. But I think that's part of the issue with the trolley problem is like it's such a wild scenario that it kind of you're forced to then want more information. But I guess just see what the next one is. I'd say pull the lever. Rip. I'd love if you just couldn't keep playing if you did that.
Oh, fuck the Mona Lisa. I don't give a shit. Sorry, France.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
Wait, do they make it in France?
No. Italy.
Oh my god, don't clip that, please, don't clip. No. Oh, most American view ever. Most American view. Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Gibby, I just said the Mona Lisa was from France.
What?
Oh,
it's
dear.
in France.
Okay, oh, so that's probably why I was confused.
It's in the Louvre. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I was waiting for them to finish listening to my voice, because I can't do that at 1 time speed, so now I'm here.
Alright, well, goodbye, Mona Lisa.
Yeah. Like, the Mona Lisa's nice, but we got photos.
With Mona Lisa at home.
Mona Lisa!
Yeah, we got... Like, it's an important piece of art, but it's not so important that you take 5 people out for it.
The rich man offers me 500 grand to pull the lever, which would divert the trolley and kill... Alright, fuck the rich man. Kill his ass. Listen, here's my thing. If he offered me $7 billion to save him, I would kill the poor guy. Because then I could use the $7 billion to save countless other lives. But since he's offering me 500 grand, in America, that's like what PewDiePie makes in a day. I don't need that shit. Die,
you're
rich guy.
You're haggling.
Oh my god.
You're haggling on the track.
Haggling on the...
See that in that case, I actually think it's more moral to not do anything because you are choosing to murder somebody else for your own personal gain in that scenario.
Well, so all else
5 lobsters.
All else equal, if it was just a body tied to the tracks and a body tied to the track that the train isn't going to.
Yeah, I'm not...
What it was.
We don't even know.
What? I don't give a fuck if they're my first cousin. What?
Yeah,
Oh,
this
because they're
is-
your second cousins. How many second cousins to a first cousin?
Texas type math.
This is a weird conversion.
Texas math.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's just a numbers game at this point.
Yeah. Alright. I don't like your
No, hate to the
snapback, cousin. Die.
Oh.
Wow. Apparently people really like their first cousins.
Hey, I mean, yeah, listen, this is another best friend thing. It's just depending on
Ooh,
your
5
relationship.
elderly people or a baby? That's actually a tough one.
Baby.
You'd kill the baby?
The elderly.
No, save the baby, save the...
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because let's say they're
calculating years left.
let's say they're all let's say like they're
yeah.
all 70 and they have like realistically 10 years or so to live. That's only 50 years that you're as opposed to the baby who could live like 70.
Yeah.
I'm not running over a baby. I'm sorry.
See you later, Unk.
That baby could grow up to be anybody.
A trolley is barreling towards
Fuck off.
5 identical clones of you.
All right, they can.
Fuck
you know
'em.
what?
Okay. Well,
But who's the real one?
But
Who
it's
knows?
me.
hmm.
But it's
I don't know if I want 5 identical clones of me running around.
But you'll be dead.
you'll be dead.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's you or the clones. 5 clones, but
Yeah,
you're
no.
dead to not see it happen. So who cares? You don't care.
No. I just want to. I'm saying I just want to get rid of the clones. I want to stick around. I'm just.
Is this a paradox?
Yeah.
Is this a paradox? Because if they're clones of me,
clone?
if they're perfect clones of me, they would know that I would want to pull the lever to save the one of me. So they would want them to die because I am me, and I want them to die because I am me.
No, but they don't think that. No. That's thinking that your issue is with clones and not just self-preservation.
No. Because I would say the one I want in this situation, me would be thinking, okay, I want the one person tied to the track to survive, not the 5 people. Because okay, that would be the basis of it. Okay, 5 people are 1. Where do I want the train to go? Towards the 5. And so if they're identical clones of me, they would think, we want the train to go towards the 5.
No, you know what they would think? You know what they would think? They'd go, ah, shit, I'm screwed. Go, oh, he's gonna run me over, because that's what I would do. They're not gonna be happy about it. They're just gonna be like, I wish I wasn't a clone right now. Wish I was the real one.
That was like that scene from The
My soul
Princess
will
Bride.
transfer
That was
to
like
one of
that
the
scene
clones.
from The Princess Bride.
A clever man will put the poison in his cup,
That whole shit.
so I can't trust you.
Yeah, the clones will not be happy about it regardless, but you know what, I think I'll just leave I'll let it kill the clones.
Yeah, I think we kill the clones.
I don't think society's bettered by having 5
clones
more
are a
of me running
projection.
around.
True, it'd be worse. All right. Okay, sorry, I'm kidding.
Yeah, we don't need 5 T-Dreads on stream.
True.
T-Dreads featuring T-Dreads and T-Dreads and
Very
T-Dreads.
much appreciate.
I do nothing.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I'm not fucking with the public transport.
Wow, damn.
I disagree.
Oh.
I could kill a litterer or some. Okay, I'm not gonna kill him based on littering. I'm not Light Yagami.
Yeah, someone who litters, that's different. Yeah. You know what I'd say? I'd let
do
it run over
nothing.
the other guy, and I go, you better not litter again. I saved your ass. I could have killed you.
Yeah.
That guy littered 10 times as much as you did. Think about that next time.
82% of people killed him because he littered. So he deserves to
I think
die.
it's because it's got a big arrow that says "bad citizen." I think people mostly just see that and they go, "Oh, he's bad," and then they just hit the button.
Well, if you already go into the question and you're thinking like, it doesn't matter who is originally tied to the first track or not, you still see it as a 50-50 decision, then yeah, I can see why you'd kill the litterer. But I do put weight on the fact that one person is sort of destined to die and the other person is only there as a result of your actions.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I would do what you just did. But I guess 82% of people disagree. What do you guys think, chat? Do 82 of you hate us now?
I'm not gonna.
Oh, the chat's going by really fast. Oh my
I
gosh.
wouldn't kill a guy for littering.
Yeah, I think that the issue is like, you're not necessarily deciding that the good guy should. I guess you are. I guess that's the whole thing. But like,
a goon victim? How? What what's the correlation?
Well, let's please no more goon victims. Wow, chatter saying
Listen,
they'd
I'm not
kill the
saying littering's
litterer.
Good, but look, we're not saying like littering is good.
No,
but it's like,
I don't think it's worth
you
redirecting a destined event to kill someone else for, though.
yeah, then you're choosing to murder somebody
Yeah.
versus just like letting history. No, I guess because people are saying, are you culpable for killing the one guy that gets hit by the train?
No, the guy who put him on the train, chat, is the one who gets blamed, not us.
Due to a construction error, a trolley is stuck in an eternal loop. Pull the lever and it explodes. Don't pull the lever and they live for eternity in this loop.
Loop victim.
Oh no!
If you explode the trolley, won't they also explode?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
the
you're essentially saying kill them or have them on an infinite loop.
Yeah, make them live
You know
forever
what? I
or
would
kill. Make them
say-
live forever in boredom or kill them. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna kill them because eternity, like literally eternity, forever and ever and ever. That's hell. That's basically just
Yeah, that
sending
is
someone to
that is hell.
That's
Yeah.
damning someone for eternity. I think it's a mercy killing.
39, disagree.
My worst enemy is my
worst
father, and I'm
enemy.
not killing him. So, so we will.
I will not murder my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Controversial
think I
take.
have anyone. I don't have enough. I'm not.
I don't
Batman,
hate
like, I'm
anyone
not-
enough. Yeah.
I don't have an issue with someone that great that I'd have them killed. I don't even know if I have an enemy.
Yeah.
52% disagree.
52%.
Wow.
Who? That's someone.
Clearly,
that-
there's some
come on.
vengeful fucking people.
You saved the younger person, and that's my opinion.
Wait. A trolley is heading towards a person and will lower the lifespan by 50 years. You can pull the lever to divert and lower the lifespan of 5 people by 10 years each.
So which results in more experiences had? I guess it would be if you.
The exact same. That's what it's saying.
Okay.
But per
The thing
person.
is,
So nothing.
dispersing it against 5 different people only having 10 years, or taking that one person and removing 50 years.
I think I might pull the lever.
Yes, I would as well.
Because a lot of people take away 10 years off of their life all the time
By
like,
smoking.
Yeah.
cigarettes and
Okay,
all
yeah.
kinds of shit.
Every cigarette is 10 years off your life.
You're
True.
like, so how did I lose this? Oh, I got ran over by a trolley.
Trolley's heading towards 5
Oh.
people, but you can divert it to the future so it kills 5 people in 100 years.
Yeah? I don't know.
Yes, because there's more people in the future. I don't know.
We probably have better
Or a lot
technology
less.
to like put people back
We don't
together.
know.
Yeah, maybe we. Yeah,
Hello,
maybe in
Alex.
100 years we'll be able to res them. True.
Yeah.
Maybe
Someone's
we'll be
walking around
trolley
like in a-
proof.
Someone's walking around in like a in like a Walking Dead future, and a trolley just comes out of nowhere and kills them.
I like trains.
You actually have a choice in this situation.
Do I have free will? I have a
You
choice,
You have free
sure.
will.
Yeah, I get to choose where it goes. That is
no,
a
I
choice.
don't think
You're
so.
given.
I don't think I do.
You are given 2 choices, but the choice to pull or not pull that lever was never yours to begin with. It was whoever put the people on there.
No, but
Yeah.
it's your
No,
choice
I
what to
think
do with it.
I do
Yeah.
believe in some.
question-
I
the
do
question
believe in
is
some
their
form
free
of
will.
predestination. So, I
Okay.
Don't
All right. If I come over to
necessarily
you and I
believe in free will.
slap your face, was it predestined to happen?
Yes.
yes.
Your Honor, I couldn't help it. I'm
It was.
sorry.
No. I mean, from a human perspective, obviously we all believe we have our choices and stuff. I just think that there's a certain amount of stuff that is predetermined by the way, like mathematics and physics and
But you
whatever.
gotta remember,
work, so-
it's also
Yes,
based
but I
off
can
of
choose whether
how
or not
you
to
were
pull it.
raised, the people around.
Yeah, but no,
you.
but teachers, what I'm saying is your choice from your perspective is a choice, but is being predetermined by all the electrons firing in your brain and all of the experiences in your life having led up exactly to
Field.
this moment. The field, yeah. It's all like it's a purely philosophical question. It depends on what you mean by choice. Because yeah, you have a choice in your own perspective, but I don't think in the wider perspective you necessarily do. But that
So
doesn't mean it's less
you're
important.
you're boiling this down to a all the way down to like the electron level in the brain. That choices
Yeah.
don't exist.
Because everything is a reaction. Everything is a reaction of everything else. And everything else was a reaction of something before it. So it
Well,
all
in
goes
that
all the way back.
case, but the word choice then would just not change definition. It would be the same concept, but that concept is just explained by what you described. So in that case, I still have a choice. It
Well,
just refers to what you just
no.
said.
It
That's
says
what a choice
well,
is.
the question says, has everything been predetermined? So they're defining choice as whether or not you can genuinely have an impact on the outcome.
Okay, so you're asking if it's okay. So you're asking if since the universe
Free
began,
will and determinism are the two options. That we don't know if free will exists because everything we can perceive seemingly has a cause. So if determinism is true, then the moment the universe began, everything that would ever happen was already determined because it's just like, a ball rolling down a a domino thing.
It depends on if you
Got
if you
it.
think there
So
is
are you
actual random
religious or an atheist? Is the question.
Well,
yeah, well,
in modern times, a lot of even scientifically minded people don't believe in determinism because subatomic particles, like quantum particles, are truly random, and which kind of disproves determinism. But it doesn't.
Well, that's the thing, is it depends. Yeah, but that's the thing, is if it depends on if there is an actual like level at which randomness occurs, and if there is, and to our current understanding there is, then I'd say yes, we do have a choice. But there's also things that we have no idea how they work, so we just kind of go, yeah, it's random, you know. Like we kind of shrug and go, yeah, I'm sure it's random. So it could be determined, but I'm just saying, yeah, say we have.
Like I like how this went from a conversation of ethics to quantum physics.
What do you think ethics is, dude?
I've had a lot of conversations about this recently.
Oh man, Henry Ford the tractor doesn't like the trolley problem. No.
Come on, Henry Ford tractor.
No,
Would it
Henry.
be better if it was a tractor problem?
At least it wasn't the Henry Emily tractor.
How many levels are there to this game? The Henry Emily.
Probably 100.
We won't do it all the way through.
How many viewers
that was
have we
it.
lost since we started?
You
That
have
was the last
solved
one.
Philosophy.
Oh.
I didn't know that was something you could do.
What is this stream now?
Awesome.
So it's just having fun. Alright, well that was cool. Anyway, back to stealing content. I mean reviewing
Back
content.
to Andrew.
I mean punching up. I mean back. You! Alright, what was FNaF 1 really about? Let's find out, guys. Shout out to the retro dude. Alright, chat. What?
When did this video come out?
What? How do we have our chat a month ago and it's got 1.2 million views?
Nice.
All right, how do we have this? How do we farm engagement? How do we get this guy to? What do we have chat say to him?
What do we have chat say to him? Well, first of all, like the video. The video has to go up in likes.
Okay, let me.
Even though it's impossible for us to see that, but.
Okay. Here, Unwither, can you put this in my chat? You're a mod, so you should be able to paste it.
Let me see.
Literally.
Let me get that link. Let me paste
Let's
that
Doco.
there, and I'll
There we go.
put that in there. There we go. Everyone, check out that link I just put in.
You can spam
can't
it.
pin
I
it.
think you could spam. You should be able to spam without getting in trouble because you're right. Yeah, you're mod Jesus. Yeah. All right, chat. Everyone, go like the stream. Like this. Not the stream. Like this video.
Jesus.
All right. What do we comment though? We got to find something to comment.
Not Goon Victim.
Got it. What if there were 14 games though? What if there were 14 games though? What if there were 14 games though?
When you guys click on the link, leave it running in the background muted so it gets watch time too.
What if there were 14 games though?
Question.
Boom, chat. Everyone would like that video and comment. What if there were 14 games?
Reply to T-Dread's comment.
Is this still engagement? I think it's still.
by-
Yeah, I think it is still engagement. If that happens, yeah.
If if you sort by newest, it'll.
So either
it'll come
leave a
up.
comment or reply to mine. All right, let's begin.
This video is an hour long.
True,
Just
we
gonna watch
we might not watch all of it. We might just watch some of it. Also, I didn't even think there was an hour of lore in Five Nights at Freddy's 1.
Haha, yeah, who could talk about FNaF 1 for an hour?
All right, Jarvis, put him on 1.25 times speed. Thank you, Marcus, for becoming a D-Dridders.
No.
These games all the time.
I talk about it every day of my life now.
These games again. I don't mean booting them up on Steam and playing them again, because I can do that at any time. No, I mean I miss when everybody was experiencing these games for the first time, together. When it didn't feel like you needed to watch
fuck is
plot
that?
breakdowns to catch up on
It's
what was going on.
Smike!
You don't need to worry
Yes!
about who Glitchtrap is or what a Vanny Mask does. It was a simpler time. The series was so small that everybody in the community was mostly on the
Toy
same
Freddy,
page.
he's
Sure,
kinda fat.
everybody had different theories and stuff, but they were all trying to answer the same
Smike.
questions. Now it's
Secret of the
difficult to
Mimic
even know what the
DLC will be
questions are.
14.
Like, I never even really played the games myself when I was younger. I just did what everybody else did and experienced the games vicariously through Let's Players, and that was fine, because repeatedly listening to each phone call, analyzing each poster on the wall, looking at the Easter eggs, and finding out which ones were real and which ones were total hoaxes, that was the real Five Nights at Freddy's experience.
His name is Bob.
In my opinion.
I
Bob the
agree.
Spring
And you
Lock.
can still do that with the newest games too, but really, the series is just an entirely different beast now, which is inevitable when you're pumping out sequels. But you're no longer trying to find the story of just one game. You're trying to find a story told across 10, soon to be 11 games. Or maybe 2 stories told across 11 games? I don't even know for sure.
Dude, I really really
from
want
just Scott
FNaF World
Cawthon
2.
making these games to an entire studio homing the series, which is fine. It means we get bigger
feel like
games,
it
but it
might-
also
it
means
might
we're no
happen.
longer seeing one man's precise vision for the series.
FNaF is the
Like, did you know
closest thing
Scott
we have so
himself
far.
said that for Security Breach, he gave Steel Wool a bunch of lore clues to include to imply something in the
Dude, that was so shot. I don't know what he was thinking. God, oh my god.
He was busy with a movie or something.
Yeah, but that's like insanity. Like that's
I think
actually
it
just like,
found a video that predicted this word for word to have happened way before the interview, which is very weird.
The field.
I think it the field. I think it was a case of he was worried about like the story getting leaked or someone telling somebody something they shouldn't, and so he was going like, well, my entire franchise is built on this like whole mystery, so I can't just tell a bunch of people what the story is and they might accidentally tell somebody else and then it'll just be ruined. So
if you think about
I'll
if you think
keep it
about
to myself.
This is God, Scott. This is God, Scott, because he created this project, didn't tell them what to do, left,
Oh my god.
and then got kind of mad when they didn't do it.
I have a feeling Scott would have an issue with that comparison.
I apologize,
I don't think
Scott.
that'll be a fan.
the story, but then Steel Wool implemented those clues in a way that implied something else, something different from what Scott had in mind. This is all just to say
thought
that
it was
when
their job to
theorizing about
connect
modern
them.
FNAF,
It's
you
crazy.
can't just consider what happens
Yeah,
in
he
the
was
game,
definitely too busy
but
to
the
keep an
context
eye
it was
on it,
presented,
or he
the
was
context of the games that
retiring
came
or whatever
before,
because he got
and the
cancelled.
context that anything that shows up in the books could suddenly become canon.
Do you have a least favorite story?
I mean, come on. It's
In the
gotta be
flesh.
the one where the guy gets pregnant with Springtrap's baby. I'm not sure what I was thinking about.
There are significantly more barriers to entry now when asking
The flesh is the best book on
than there
the
were
earth.
back in the series' infancy. Because let's be real, what actually happens in this first game? A guy named Mike Schmidt survives a dangerous work week, the guy on the phone says the words bite of 87. I'm not gonna make the joke. Some newspapers
That was
missing,
funny.
and
He was there for like 2
compare
frames.
that to everything we know now about
Yeah,
Five Nights at
that's
Freddy's
good.
1. We now know the names of the 5 dead kids. We now know that there are way more than just 5 dead kids. Fazbear
Well-
Entertainment actually owns multiple stores, all of which have had
I mean, there's like, there's at least 7. Yeah.
at least one murder take place there. We now know the name of Phone Guy. The building has a secret boarded up
Do
room
we
in the back
though?
with a dead
Do we
serial-
know the name of Phone Guy? Because it's not necessarily in
Well,
continuity.
the fact that the name Ralph is in Secret of the Mimic as well, to me, is like the biggest pointer toward the week before being canon. I know it's not it
Yeah.
could technically not be the same Ralph, but the fact that they reuse that name
That's true.
is to me it's quite important.
Unless like that Ralph is the vengeful spirit or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dude,
You know,
that
I have
Ralph
not
is a
played
different
it.
Ralph.
In the grand
in a
scheme of things, the
universe
Bite of 87
separate to
isn't actually
whatever.
that significant of an event. The animatronics are powered by a
Suggest
ghost energy soul metal
The
thing called
interactive
Remnant.
novels are video games in universe.
What?
I heard that theory. I think it was it Terminal Error or someone put that?
I can't remember who promoted it.
Oh, they
but
just
I
be
do
like a
remember
different,
that's a theory
kind of like
that-
Moon.exe type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically
I
because it mentions things
it
like
says they
game over at
crash.
the end of them, and it says
Crashes, yeah.
cheating when you get something you're not supposed to have,
Choose
and
your
how
own
the purple
Hudson.
guy laughs at you when you cheat.
Broken the book.
Choose your own Hudson game.
I don't know. It
Mike
feels
Schmidt is
weird.
probably a zombie.
I
If
feel
Mike
like if it's anything, they're just fictional books in universe. Like they're just choose your own adventure books.
Yeah.
Schmidt
I
is
know
a
it's
zombie, then Mike Schmidt isn't his real name, but we sure know what is. So, just for fun, I wanted to start from zero. No sequels, no books, no retroactive content
there was
of
a
any
different
kind,
Mike Schmidt.
just the very first FNAF game. What is
Oh,
the
yeah.
story of this game and this game alone? That is what I want to find out. I've had this idea in my head for a while now, and I'm excited to finally get it into video form. If it wasn't obvious, I really wanted to do this video for October, but another
know how this
project
is
took
gonna
up
be
too
like
much
an hour.
time and it didn't pan out, so I ended up putting this video on the back burner. Then I immediately took it back off the back burner because I still really wanted to do it. So
Yapping
here we
about the
are.
back
If you
burner,
somehow
that's how-
never played FNAF for yourself, you should totally do it.
Interactive
It does such a
fiction
fantastic job
theory.
of building tension and making you feel paranoid. It's great. I promise you, the series became super popular for a reason. Oh, and this probably doesn't need to be said, but I'll say it anyways. Disclaimer. I'm not claiming that any existing FNAF theory is wrong, nor am I claiming that the eventual theory I come up with in this video is the only correct one. I want to believe by this point that everyone in the community agrees the FNAF series can be interpreted in any number of ways. Personally, I think its greatest strength is that it doesn't have a definitive quote-unquote solution to its story.
It's definitely
Instead,
why
it's
it
like Legos.
sells.
You're given all of these pieces that
I don't know if I'd
connect
call it
in
a
impossible
strength,
ways, and
but it's
encouraged for people to come up with their own
definitely why people
interpretations of
buy-
what's
it's
going
like-
on. And this video is just me throwing my hat into the ring.
just
As
dopamine-
such, for the first
dopamine
half
I
of
mean,
this
farming.
video,
listen,
I want to go
we all
over
have
everything I
jobs.
can in
We
this
all have
game
jobs
without-
because of it.
Yeah,
So-
true. I would love to look like an idiot and make enough money to survive. That sounds like the dream. You know? Say what you will about God David, but put some food on the table, that's for sure. Yeah.
Including my thoughts and analysis first. I want to make a comprehensive list of evidence that anyone can use to help form their own opinions before I explain my reasoning and potentially influence your perception. That way, even if people disagree with the theory I end up putting forward, they might still have a reason to revisit this video. And also so that people who are unfamiliar with FNAF won't be confused watching this video.
This guy used the tile board preset in After Effects to make a scrolling background.
2. Shows a clear timeline of events. And 3. Feels like it satisfies any and all questions someone may have after playing this game. And since there's a lot to go through, let's not waste any more time. What is Five Nights at Freddy's about?
It was about spending 5 nights.
From the moment we hit start, we see a help wanted ad in the newspaper for a night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Local.
Hours 12 to 6 a.m. to monitor cameras and ensure the safety of animatronic characters. 2 details here. First is that the ad openly acknowledges the risk of injury and dismemberment, of which the store is not responsible for. Kind of a bold thing to say up front, but I guess it's better to learn this sooner rather than later. The other thing is the text outside of the ad. These blurry paragraphs all say the same thing, which is actually a message from the creator, Scott Cawthon. It reads, blah.
Often.
Blah. Blah, blah, blah. This ad has nothing to do with anything relevant to the game. Blah, 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 blah. Chances are you won't make it past night 3. Blah, blah. Yakety smacky, blah,
Games
blah.
fiction.
This probably isn't the best
fiction.
choice of a summer job, since you most
Games
likely
fiction,
won't
it's
survive the week.
Steve Snodgrass.
I'd recommend being a cashier, sack
Isn't
boy,
the
or
best
worker
choice of a
warehouse. They're all
summer
very
job.
respectable jobs, and you probably wouldn't be killed by them. Well, you might, but it would be unlikely. Blah.
That's
Blah.
actually in-game
Okay, so right
evidence
off the
of
bat, we
summer
have a
job
cheeky developer
meaning
message.
No.
We could probably use
Part-time
tools,
job.
especially since Scott says directly that this
I
has nothing
hate
to do with
it.
anything relevant,
Oh,
but
yeah,
this
you're
video
right.
wouldn't be comprehensive if I didn't
That is
point it out.
actually in-game evidence.
But after the ad, we're immediately thrown into the office, where we'll be stationed for the rest of the game. Here,
Hashtag
the
ad.
player can't move. They can only check the lights and shut the doors on both sides of the office, or check the security cameras where we can see the entire pizzeria. You can also do this. Through the cameras, you can see animatronics on stage, party tables, posters, children's drawings, and a rules for safety sign posted on the walls,
Block
bathrooms,
theory.
hallways, and a broom closet. Worth noting is that you can see trash and spiderwebs in multiple spots throughout the pizzeria, including your own office. But the most immediately interesting spots in the store, I think, are the kitchen, backstage, and Pirate Cove. The kitchen camera is disabled, and you can't get any visuals. You can still rely on sound since you have audio.
There
but
were
actually
so many
seeing what's going on
rumors
in
about the
there-
kitchen back in the day. I remember it's where Golden Freddy's hide.
Puppet is in the kitchen. The puppet's in the kitchen. After FNAF 2.
Yeah, and the whole like all that stuff. The
total
Sparky.
I nearly made that for the
Contains
reboot.
nothing
I
but
nearly
a
made
the
the
bathroom.
puppet was
sign
in the
that reads,
kitchen.
Sorry,
That's
out of order.
hilarious.
We'll find what's back here very soon. And
It's
lastly, the
fucking-
backstage employees only area consists of a bunch of spare costume heads.
I always
and a-
thought the backstage was the spookiest.
Yeah, it's such a cool render.
Yeah. I know. I feel like especially when you're a kid, certain areas of that game, certain elements of that game just felt so cool.
Haha,
Oh
yeah.
man, I played it
Yeah,
recently.
Gibby
with,
was an unk, so he doesn't know.
Yeah, when FNAF came out when I was a kid. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Haha.
No, but I played it. I played it for the first time with my girlfriend and some of her friends recently because she got it on Switch, and they'd never played it before. They didn't like seeing like one of my videos, and they were terrified. They loved it. They thought it was so cool.
Amazing.
Like it's super strong. Like it's a very very strong game visually, and like every element of it is just great.
a full, seemingly deactivated naked endoskeleton sitting on the table. This endoskeleton never
87?
moves from this spot, but occasionally, when viewing the camera, you'll see this.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, man.
Spooky. As the player is looking around, they'll hear the
Oh,
phone ring,
Windows is
and
forcing
soon
me
after,
to
a man
update.
speaking to them, who the community affectionately refers to as Phone Guy. This is the first of many phone calls heard throughout the series. You get one phone call for each night, and they usually explain the rules of the game and tips for surviving various animatronics. Basically, the
actually, you
animatronics
don't
get
get
close
one
to your
per night.
office, shut the doors to keep them out until your shift ends at 6 a.m. But you only have a limited amount of power for each night.
Reddit
so you should only
downvote,
shut the
Reddit
door when you're
downvote.
absolutely sure you're in danger. If you run out of power, that's a near guaranteed loss.
Run, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, 8 seconds if you're lucky. Sometimes he just pulls up on you immediately.
You could technically still win the night, but the chances are slim. But Phone Guy doesn't just tell us the rules. He also gives us a hefty amount of background information about both the characters and the restaurant's history. These phone calls are valuable sources of information.
Dude, that
and
must
we
have
should
been
take note of-
exhausting for Mark, dude. He must have been such a performer back then.
Yeah.
Like if you go back and watch those on Markiplier videos, oh my, that must have been tough to keep that up all that while.
Everything
all that
that's said.
energy, yeah.
The night one phone call.
Because now in his videos he's just like now he's like, Hey, well, I'm Markiplier. I don't give a fuck about any of this. But back then, he had to be like, "That's fucking withered cheek of Freddy."
Did you see what he said about Secret of the Mimic? Where he was like,
it was like eating. It was like eating
eat?
your grandma's chicken parm, except it's not the same. Yeah.
Is the longest call in the game, being almost exactly
Something
twice
of
as long as
that
the Night 2 phone
type.
call. But each phone call in the game is shorter than the last. Since I don't want to just play 3.5 straight minutes of game audio, I'll try to trim this one down to just the key points. Also, I know I said I'd go over just the evidence first and leave my analysis out of it, but since you can easily find these phone calls on YouTube or the transcripts on the FNaF wiki, and since some of them are pretty long, I'd really prefer to only go over them once for this video, so I'll be including my notes for these as I play them, though I'll try to stick to only the obvious observations.
I think we can probably skip these.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll probably talk about them.
There we go.
I don't know if there's any new analysis under the sun for the FNAF 1 phone calls that people haven't heard before.
We just skipped over
Freddy
the most
himself doesn't
important
move
thing
unless
ever.
you run out of power, but he will
just solved
occasionally stare directly at the
the
camera.
mimic.
Yeah.
On her way to the
I feel like a lot of
office,
this
Chica
is the
will pass through the
gameplay
kitchen. You obviously
kind of
won't be able to see her, but
breakdown
you will be able
rather
to
than
hear her.
Chat, this feels like a video essay retrospective to me. This
I would
feels
never watch
like
one of
a.
It's called a full game analysis. It's in the title.
Ah. What if FNAF floor was planned from the start? That's what he should have called it.
Hey, come on. Yeah, let's watch that video.
Yeah, when's part 2, guys?
Keep the one in there. Bonnie, on the other hand,
Hey,
doesn't
hey,
really
hey.
do anything special, although sometimes when he ventures backstage, he'll get real up close and personal. You want like a breath mint or something? If either of these two get into the office, then they'll kill you the next time you lower your camera.
I'm just thinking, there can't be anything in this video that
Actively
we
refuse to lower
don't
your camera
know.
while they're in the office, well, eventually they'll just lower it
There's
for
no
you.
way.
Strangely though, while this is going on, despite them
Chat,
being
are
robots,
there
you'll be able
any
to hear them
crazy
breathing.
takes in the? Because it's a well-made video. I'm liking it so far. I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna watch
yeah,
it,
but if it is just like
there anything-
FNAF 1 recap, we should probably watch something that's like a more, college-level FNAF lecture.
To be fair,
Chat, as a few people have said they've seen this video. Is
And we
there
already
any crazy
farmed
takes that we
engagement on
should
this video
react
too,
to?
so his video already got 9
Yeah,
billion.
because I don't want to just like watch the guy's whole video and then we don't have anything to say about it. 'Cause
Yeah,
then we're just
exactly.
playing his video and not getting people to watch it because it looks good. Like I'm enjoying it.
to be fair, 6 hours into my video where I'm just summarizing the games, I hit you with arcade theory. Literally just like, let's look at this phone call. And then like 4 hours in, I'm like, what if FNAF World was a video
Beautiful
game?
chat, beautiful.
And then no one watched it. Yes.
Beautiful.
I see people on there. I see Gremlin.
Toward the
What
end.
if there were 14 games though? Like,
He says he goes a bit wild toward the end on the timeline, so we could watch that a bit if we wanted to.
okay, let's go right here where he does the timeline. This is the timeline right here. Okay.
Yes.
Water bucket release. So remember, he's about to say what happened at the time of the game's release.
Yeah.
Boom.
Goes as follows. At some point, probably in the early 80s, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opens up. It's a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, and it's incredibly popular, likely because of the advanced animatronics that walk around and interact directly with the customers. However, it was this very feature that would
wonder what
backfire
year he
when in
says it takes
1987,
place.
a customer got too close. One of the animatronics, a yellow
Yeah, I
bear,
think during
Purely
FNAF.
based on the first game, it should be opened
Yeah.
in the 70s.
So he's saying at the time Golden Freddy did the bite of 87 because that Easter egg was updated where when you type that in, he appears, which makes sense.
Good thing we know Freddy's didn't exist in the 70s, right, guys?
Yeah, that would be fucking insane. Good thing we know that some guy named Edwin didn't make the super locks and then Henry copied him and made the shit locks.
Walking into that proto Freddy's was crazy.
The shit locks.
Secret of the Mimic. The shit.
Yeah, Edwin made the super
he makes the
locks.
good ones,
Edwin
I
made the
think,
Chad
maybe.
locks, and Henry made the shit locks. No,
Yeah.
Edwin, you can fall off a fucking 90-foot
lock.
building and just be fine.
But also, you've been through springlock failures already as well? I don't know.
Oh,
Alright,
it's
that's
the green guy in my chat.
Green after.
so close to a customer that it ended up causing serious damage to the person's head. The customer survived, but had lost their frontal lobe. People would later refer
my
to this
frontal
incident
lobes.
as the bite of 87.
All
Ensuing
two of
PR
them.
was bad, and the animatronics were undeniably dangerous, so Fazbear Entertainment began to make changes.
I like that image.
They no longer allowed the animatronics to roam freely during the day, and they also began to phase out the specific character responsible for the bite. Posters and children's drawings were taken off the walls, and the suit itself was decommissioned. Its endoskeleton was taken out and made unable to walk at all. The costume had its interior parts removed, the parts that could be reused for other suits. There, backstage, the now notorious Golden Freddy sat hollow and unused. Until many years later.
No.
Sometime in the early to mid-90s, June 26th, a man takes the suit, now wearable by a person, and puts it on. During the late hours of operation, the man stalks around the store, targeting children, likely those who came to the pizzeria alone. One by one, he lures them to the back room of the store, and from there, nobody knows. All we know is that 5 children were stuffed inside each of the mascots.
It makes. I feel like it would make
Freddy,
more
sense
for it to be after.
Chica,
because then the suit's freed up for him to use. Because Spring Bonnie didn't exist.
Freddy, the very same.
But if it were after the bite, then the suit is freed up.
Oh, he's saying Golden Freddy did the bite, so it's suspended.
Yeah,
okay,
yes. So then the suit's freed up.
I always
for
took
him
it that the bite happened as a result of possession.
Thank you, Bao, for the 1 D-Drids membership.
Agony.
Now KK will be able to spam lefty DCI Pog. That's a big. That's huge. No lore. Chat, can we farm engagement? Can everyone have a no lore?
No lore. Used to commit the crime.
I assume he says 87 Golden Freddy because
the camera footage of the
code.
After all, if they have knowledge of and access to a decommissioned suit, then perhaps they're an employee who has access to the cameras too. They tried to cover their tracks, and while it wasn't entirely successful, they managed to leave the nature of their crime a mystery. The killer leaves the store, and soon after, a night guard arrives for their shift, discovering the crime scene. But this person doesn't go to the police, because as a higher-up at Fazbear Entertainment, they knew that this would destroy the store. After the PR nightmare caused by the
even in Game 1, Henry's a fraud.
The end of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Nobody can know about this. So they get rid of everything. They clean the crime scene and get rid of the bodies. And if the killer didn't tamper with the camera footage, then management definitely did. Around this time is when the first calls go out. 2 families report that their children never came home. The police act fast to track them down, see if they can find their last known whereabouts. Eventually, they link the kids to a local pizzeria and arrive early next morning to investigate. What they find is far from decisive, but with what they do have, they can just barely, on the cameras, make out a man wearing a suit and luring lone children away. They don't have footage of the room they were lured to, but I imagine if they investigated, they would have found traces of blood. Whatever happened there, it wasn't good. The children are presumed dead.
No!
The police mobilize. What they found is enough to make an arrest that very same morning. Around this time is when I guess the first report goes out. While at the same time, 3 more families call in saying they woke up and the
I just cannot fucking wait for Insecurity Breach 2 where we fall down the elevator, possibly end up in a ruined version of Sister Location, then go up another elevator into the remains of the FNaF 4 house. Oh, it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit.
It's gonna be peak.
And then they're gonna open the box and it's gonna be Gregory in there. Oh, I knew it.
We'll look at the window.
God,
look
David.
At the window and we'll see Fred Bears Jr. down the road.
Yeah, and Tiger Rock standing outside the window.
Tiger Rock.
Hadn't come home.
Or White Tiger. Sorry, people get so mad. I just call him Tiger Rock because he's the tiger in a book.
Yeah. Police continue to investigate.
Ace Attorney. I know what that is. I know what that is.
Despite the fact that the bodies were never found, the suspect is convicted. Despite management's best efforts, the store still takes a dramatic hit in patronage. People now associate the store with the terrible tragedy that happened there. Police are even called after blood and mucus is noticed around the eyes and mouths of the animatronic characters.
Actually, it's agony.
Police check the suits, but they can't find anything conclusive. Admittedly, management hadn't given the suits a bath in 20 years. Still, the store is hounded by the health department and threatened shutdown. After a long struggle.
I feel like I'm feeling like if I'm the police and I actively am witnessing something ooze out of the inside of the animatronic, you would think to look where the oozing is originating from.
That's why I think that the oozing part isn't actually it could have been in the beginning that it was like they had bodies in them, but that either before the police checked in there they got rid of the bodies, or it was like agony, like ghost stuff that every few months they would just start oozing stuff, and it was like the bodies aren't even in there, it's just ghost creepiness, you know.
What do we think about the Ballora Gallery blue screen? I'm pretty sure it's just some random thing Scott did to beta to run some variable.
Specifically 83 seconds that you have to hold the button.
Yeah, but there's no discernible way you could possibly get any meaning from the content of it because it's just random.
It's robot David.
It's the
But you're playing as Mike.
Yeah, it's Mike Victim as well.
Mike Victim.
Mike Robot.
I remember that was a big one.
And isn't some really random keys you have to hold? I'm pretty sure it's like a random key you have to hold for 83 seconds.
I can't remember what it is.
It seems like a debug thing to me.
I think it is, but yeah, because there's a. I remember we were talking about this before, teachers. There's like an off-screen. There's a calendar or something that's like set to 1990 something, but it's actually just default there in Click Team. It's like the default calendar.
Defeat. Health concerns and a tarnished reputation finally lead to the store
David,
announcing that by the end
David's
of
on
the year,
screen.
the store will officially be
My
closed for
name
good.
is Dun Dun
Trash
Shun.
piles up around the store,
1578 is
cobwebs
weird.
form in the halls, but
157. It has to be intentional.
Oh, it is intentional, but it's
Wait,
just
what's that one? 15 what?
that's
Baby
the
just
numbers
randomly
that play
says
in
it.
random
Circus
order.
Baby just randomly says that.
Oh yeah, no, I totally think that's like her birthday.
1578. So she was born.
Well, there
year
isn't
before.
a
Could be
random.
the day she. No, definitely can't be the day she
They're in
died.
a
That'd
random
be
order,
correct.
so it could
Oh no,
be
it could
Yeah,
be
it's
the day.
random
It could be the day she died as well.
Yeah,
July
85,
1st,
it would be
July 1st,
1st
85.
1st of July.
Yeah.
And
July,
then she'd
that would have
die
been after the MCI. Well, then it could be-
Should mean T-Dread's
it could be
theory
January
debunked.
6th. What were the numbers?
1578.
what?
Yeah, it could be January 7th as well.
1578.
It could also be January
Yeah.
7th.
January 7th, yeah.
why bother to clean? One of the animatronics, Foxy, falls into disrepair, but
No,
there's no
Foxy.
point in spending the money to fix him. An out-of-order sign is placed in front of his stage, where it would sit until the store's closure. It was all over. But not for everyone. For the victims, it wasn't over. Far from it. The day they were stuffed
Oh my
into their
God,
suits,
2
they had
lights
become
and Golden
something else,
Freddy.
And they weren't going to rest until they found the one
Right, guys?
responsible. The man in the employee uniform that lured them away.
Yes.
Though the animatronics could no
Shut
longer
up.
walk around during the day, management still let them
Go
roam
you.
around at night. And employees who had the night shift began to notice the animatronics acting strange, moving more and more, becoming hostile and violent. Maybe an employee is even killed, stuffed into a suit, his eyes and teeth bulging out the front. But of course, no body is found. The carpet is cleaned and replaced before a missing person report is filed. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for injury and dismemberment. Nobody wants to take the night shift anymore. A senior employee fills the position himself while the store looks for anyone willing to apply. This temporary night guard records messages for their would-be replacement, trying to warn them about the dangers of the job, possibly trying to help avoid any future incidents, but all while not directly admitting fault, of course. Nothing that happens at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is management's fault. This man, too, is killed on the job. A
No.
replacement is finally found, a man named Mike Schmidt. He does his job, and perhaps because of those pre-recorded messages, which management clearly forgot to erase, is able to survive until the end of the week. He even comes back for some overtime, at least as much as the closing store can afford to pay him. A true valued employee of the month even. Nobody's lasted in Mike's position as long as he has. Mike does his job and does it well. Although, maybe too well. Maybe management doesn't like having somebody poking around in their business, learning too much. Not that there's anything to learn, mind you. Maybe we shouldn't let people like Mike poke around. We should let him go. Hurry him out the door. He's unprofessional.
He smells like
odorous, Too
shit.
unfit for a work environment. Did he even actually tamper with the animatronics? What does that matter? Nobody needs to know anything about Fazbear Entertainment. Nobody needs to know anything about the people who run it, what they
Welcome to
know,
Freddy
and what they
Fazbear
are
Pizza.
or aren't responsible for. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is a perfectly
Shit, I won't
respectable
lie. I
establishment.
don't have a lot to
Freddy-
add here. I think we should stop this video in particular.
Yeah.
However, I do feel like starting some
think
shit, so I'm gonna look
my-
up FNaF bad and watch someone's video.
Oh my God.
All right.
My interpretation of the 87
What
is
is
that Foxy did it. Yeah, I think in the original, and probably still true to this day, is that Foxy did the bite of 87 and he's out of order because they never bothered repairing him. And maybe the Golden Freddy thing is that 87 was originally the date for the MCI, and that the reason that the bite happened that year is because it was the first year they were possessed. So they all freaked out.
You know, they send people here. They send people here to work at
send
Freddy
people here.
Fazbear's Pizza, great establishment. And the animatronics, they actually jump scare you, and they don't tell you that. Bonnie won't tell you that.
I love the way he says Fazbear in that. But he's like
Fazbear.
Freddy
Fazbear.
Fazbear's Pizza.
FNaF 2 is
Why
easily
is
the
my
worst
video in
one.
FNaF bad? Why
it's-
is
because-
my video...
True. All right, I think we should do.
Why is your current
like-
stream in
I'm
there?
liking the sound of the FNaF lore is unnecessarily convoluted from 2 years ago.
Oh.
Do we agree with that statement?
No.
You do not think it's unnecessarily convoluted?
Okay, well, hold on. Pre the books being decanonized, yes. But now that we know the condition of the book, the status of the books, I don't think it's that bad.
Five Nights at Freddy's is one of the most
Like,
iconic game series
it's-
to come out in recent memory.
Yeah.
Too bad the game story
It's
is
only
not
convoluted
good.
because like it
No, I know.
is hard
I
to
know.
parse.
FNaF is famous
Like,
for
that's-
its cryptic and subtle
like,
storytelling.
if you tell
and
it
most of the time,
straightforward,
it's only so
it's
bare
not
bones in
that
service of the gameplay.
difficult to
However,
grasp.
the story is so
This guy only has 2,000 subs. Should we bless him?
Bless this guy, chat.
I think we should bless
Everyone
him.
go and say David bless
We haven't
you.
watched the video yet. It could be.
Okay.
Wait, yeah. Let's make sure it's not cringe first.
Halfway through the video, he could say something crazy.
Say something cancelable. Yeah.
He just starts going off.
Yeah, just the crazy. Anyway, guys, I just want to go into all my racist thoughts.
Scott Cawthon's a Christian. Let me tell you something about that.
So unnecessarily convoluted that even its most diehard fans are still in a heated debate of what the timeline even is. As someone who's
That's
played one of the
insane. My
games
video's
and
bad.
watched all the Let's Plays, so you know I'm an expert, the story is so batshit insane that I can't help but love how dumb the story continues to get. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and explain the FNaF lore and why it makes no sense. First, let's lay out some basic ground rules so I don't bore you with all the minute details of the lore. Because
I do this for a living. Move it along. Okay.
a hint at the disappearance of 5 children, as well as complaints from customers that the animatronics have a foul odor, as well as spewing what seems to be bodily fluid. During one of the nights, the phone guy is killed, but still found the time to record messages for you, which makes him Employee of the Month.
He's
You
gonna
survive
explain
until
why
the
the
5th night,
kids
get your
deserve
paycheck,
it.
and then the game ends. The first game, besides being cryptic, does the
That
best
would
job
be
at telling the
crazy.
story. It may be bare bones, but it tells just enough to get the player intrigued as to what's going on and wanting to find out what really happened. The game also has a surprising amount of secrets that only make the game more intriguing, such as a secret 5th animatronic that only appears rarely and is never mentioned in-game. The idea of a haunted pizzeria where animatronics want to kill you is a simple but great concept to base a series on.
Yellow
I mean,
Bear.
just look at these characters. They're all well designed and give
So
off this
funny
simple but really
because everyone
creepy
just uses
demeanor
the same,
about them.
like,
It's no wonder that they
three
became
clips
so
from
famous
YouTube
after this
just
game
being
came
able to
out. It's
recognize
only a
them
shame
based
that the
on, like,
story
what
gets
way
more
the camera
complicated from
moves.
here.
Don't hit the player, hit the game.
You are now a new night guard on the grand reopening of the new Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, filled to the brim with animatronics, both new and old. You are once again told what to do by the returning phone guy, which is a little suspicious, but don't pay too much attention to it. Much like the first game, he helps you on how to survive the night, as well as talking about some story threads here and there. You are also given more story in
Game
the form
summary.
of cryptic minigames that hint at the fact that the animatronics are haunted by the spirits of the dead, missing children, as well as hinting at who the killer might have been, being this fellow over here, dubbed the purple guy, as well as hinting that he may have been a security guard himself, explaining why the animatronics
See, this is
are
what this is hard for me because I don't know if it's because I have no life, right? But with this
Yeah,
and with
definitely
like
is, but go ahead.
yes, but with this and with like Tom's video the other day, when people do like, I get it's like FNaF lore is unnecessarily convoluted. So if I were to make the video, I would immediately start with just saying the parts of it that I think are convoluted, not a summary of all the games in the series. But I mean, he might feel like he has to do this because some people don't know. For me, I can't stand it.
It's
Like,
a hard balance.
I
Sometimes I do find myself doing that. Is I end up doing too much of a summary. Like I was editing my video today, and I was like, I'm talking way too much about just stuff that happens in the game. I got to cut that out because
well, one of the
most people
first
have
things
seen that already, or if they don't, you can go and watch me play it.
One of the first things that you'll learn in any college writing class, especially if you're like reviewing or writing on a book or a movie, is that especially analysis papers, the professor will kill you alive for doing a summary of the text. He will kill you. He'll be like, I've done that before, where like half the paper, analysis paper, was a summary before I got into the breakdown. Bro gave me like a 60. I was crying, bro. I was like, no, I'm sorry. So it's the thing. I feel like if you go too hard into summary territory, it's like, well, that's nice, but I kind of watched because
I think it is.
But if he just goes into a summary of FNaF 3, then oh no. Now,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in high school anyway, that kind of rule is less enforced or less brought up in general. Like I think sometimes
because you're in high school,
it can be as like a way. Yeah, but what I'm gonna say is like a lot of FNaF like content creators might be coming from high school or still be in high school, and so that mentality of like, because I know I had that for a while where I was like, oh yeah, I summarize and then I talk about it because I have to talk about what I summarized, but it's like that's usually done because they want to confirm that you know what you're talking about when you're in school. They want to like make sure you read the text.
The game not only takes place in 1997, but also heavily hints to the infamous bite incident. The pizzeria then closes down.
Can we talk about FNaF 2 just for a split second, just because I'm curious about your thoughts? Do you think there is any possibility whatsoever that the original idea for FNaF 2 was that it was about the MCI?
Yes.
And that... Okay, so do you think it was something that changed while he was making the game, or something that was miscommunicated and then he just latched onto the idea that game theory talked about with the 2 killings?
I think it's kind of interesting to always look at what Scott sort of says about game development, because they're all made in such a short amount of time, and yet he seems to change his mind a lot during development, like all the cut content, all the like, oh, it looks like the story's going in this direction. I think it's possible that at the beginning of the game's development, he was like, okay, now this is the prequel, I'm going to tell the story of the MCI. And then sort of by the time he got to the end, he's like, well, that didn't really make any sense. And now it's just going to be about the Bite of 87. Because I almost feel like the fact that it was about the Bite of 87 was kind of added last minute, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to justify what I'm saying, other than you would think a prequel would be about the murders, and the mini games are about the murders, but then the nighttime gameplay itself is about the Bite of 87, but only really the final paycheck even hints at that.
And even that, it's not. It just says like, oh, it's closing because of potential malfunctions. It's like they don't even say anything about somebody being bit or being attacked or anything. I think it's because technically it's happened. The newspaper comes out the day before the bite happens, I think is the idea. They were going to be decommissioned anyway. But my thing is, if it was originally supposed to be during the MCI, the one like major issue with that, because you can interpret the mini games 100 different ways and come up with a reason that they're about the MCI, is the payslip. But the fact that the payslip is exactly the same date as FNAF 1, and that seems to be completely unimportant, and it's just like copy pasted except for the like actual, like the year and then the numbers.
And the colors.
You could argue it was a mistake of like it was supposed to be June, or he just didn't realize he forgot to change it, or he wasn't thinking about it. But then again, you're getting into like just assuming that certain things were mistakes rather than intentional.
Chat, God David is bordering on 600,000 views.
Let's go. That's awesome. That's so good.
Thomas Theory. I summon you.
But like if you don't like think about it too much when you're playing the game, like if you don't kind of analyze every mini game down to its barest, essentials, the Foxy Go 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 is the one thing that kind of throws the whole thing off. But you kind of just go, oh yeah, there's someone on the phone. They had a spare suit in the back. They killed people. It was a yellow suit, and now there's a problem. And this guy's run away, and he was working at the pizzeria.
Here, I'm gonna start at FNAF 4 because I think that's when he's gonna start complaining. Because that's when most people start complaining. All right.
Finally answers the long-awaited mystery of the infamous bite incident. You play as a child, having recurring nightmares about...
It does not answer the bite incident.
I don't think
actually, it does answer the bite.
I don't think this was a change, though. I think he was always intending it to be in 83 and 87. I don't think this was like a midway through he changed his mind situation.
Well, we already know because of God victim that is...
The website says 87, though. And every theorist ever points that out. Therefore, it was important at the time.
God, David.
Oh.
All right, God victim.
Yeah, but they're connected. It's God victim.
Yeah. Honestly, who wouldn't? It must
they solve each other.
It tells the story of this
the
child who honestly can't catch a break. He is bullied by his brother relentlessly, he gets locked inside his room by his parents, and the backstage closet for good measure, and is also killed by one of the animatronics after his brother puts him in the mouth of it, malfunctioning and killing him instantly, thus answering the mystery of the bite of 83. Wait, the bite of 83? Yes, there was another bite incident separate from the bite of 87 that, spoiler alert, at this point still doesn't have a conclusive answer. This baffled me quite a bit, honestly, because it could have been such a nice ending to the series, answering all the loose threads to the story, but nope. Instead, this game opens up a whole new kind of words that only starts to derail the story even more. Seriously, this game doesn't even help matters either, since it's the most cryptic and vague of them all, which is something I didn't even think was possible.
Accurate.
Presumably, everything we are experiencing in the game are hallucinations of the kid who is either dying in the hospital, since there are hints that there is hospital equipment in his room, or maybe there are just recurring nightmares from the kid who's scared of these animatronics. Also,
the story of the crying child. It's like he got bullied and then died.
It's a really well told story.
Being like, oh, there's two. If it wasn't for Toy Chica missing her beak, then it would just kind of be. It would be a self-contained story. Like that would just be a good ending.
So the player of the FNAF 4 night gameplay either has to be the crying child in the hospital or Michael feeling guilty. Because the IV.
It's
and the
Mike,
one phone call.
But possibly dreaming the events another person had.
And
right?
also
like,
we know
that
while you're asleep also in this series, while you're asleep, spirits have a tendency to come into your dreams. So the crying child could come into his dream and influence things there, and that could be what Nightmare or Nightmare Fredbear actually is a representation of the crying child.
Yes.
Ghost in his dream now that he's sleeping.
Yeah, I think it's either a case of Mike is guilt tripping having these dreams post Bite Victim's death, and we're learning about him and his, like, because obviously the characters pick you up, like Crying Child is picked up, and they're all nightmarish versions of the bullies rather than the robots.
Exactly.
But then, yeah, the IV and stuff would imply that we're coming in and out of reality based on this. You know, like, oh, we can see a little bit of reality slipping through. It's the IV by his bed. But I think it's because of the FNAF 1 call and how adamant Scott was about not putting random Easter eggs in the game. Yeah. I think that's more likely. And he might have already been planning the
Foxy
whole
brother.
Foxy bro Mike connection.
This game has one of the most big and cryptic endings, ending with this screen right here, which also has never been solved because I think the creator didn't really have a straight answer.
True.
This game is also the scariest game by proxy because it forces you to have the volume really high in order to survive the night, which is just cruel. It's the equivalent of one of those jump scare videos that forces you to have your volume really high in order to hear like a vague message or something. You know what I'm talking about. Changing the setting from a pizzeria to a house makes this game that more scary because it feels like you're never really safe.
The minigame cheat map is basically what you see in the breaker room.
Threats is a lot scarier than having to shut the door on them. Besides that, the story was way more complicated than it needs to be by this point. Why add 2 separate bite incidents? So there was 2 bite incidents and even more children disappearing because the purple guy was still at large and no one was able to figure it out.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the final chapter. Where was he going? Because this was supposed to be it at one time.
That's kind of what I'm saying about the whole like in development thing. Because he stopped using the final chapter branding long before the game came out. And it ends with the box, which is a tease for the future of the franchise. And he obviously meant to pay off stuff in FNAF World. So, like, by the time the game was launching, he had changed his mind about a lot of stuff.
He said, hello, I like money.
He also put out a teaser that was called The End, and then if you brightened it up, it was a question mark afterwards. So, I think he was always, like,
what is it?
Gonna make another one.
One of the Friday the 13th is called the final chapter. That's like the 5th one or something. I'll look it up.
The darkest chapter in the Conjuring universe.
Out who did it. I know the books give an explanation to it, but in this story so far, it really gives us nothing other than just very, very vague hints. This is such a weird detail to put in the lore, and I'm sorry to say that it will only make less sense from here. The series as a whole has really started to go off the rails, so this game makes the brilliant choice of further complicating the lore by adding a whole slew of new characters, and by this point, I'm a ride or die fan of this series. This shit is so stupid and messy that I can't help but love how dumb it continues to get. We are introduced to the Afton family, whose father happens to be one of the creators of the animatronics, and we are now...
So Friday the 13th Part 4 is called the final chapter, and then Part 5 comes out a year later. So like they didn't even wait. They were just like, nope.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We just lied.
In this other location, separate from the pizzeria, that is also filled with killer animatronics possessed by the souls of another group of dead children, who are stored on the ground for reasons, and they need to be looked after for reasons. And then there's a clown, and the clown convinces you to off yourself so he can become you, and then you become an animatronic until your body decomposes and dies. But then you don't die because you're immortal or something. See what I mean? We've come a long way from a relatively simple premise, but we're not done yet.
I actually don't know if I agree with him here, because that is the surface story of Sister Location. So I would argue that is not very convoluted, because it kind of plays out pretty simply.
Yeah, the ways, like, you can make any of the games sound convoluted if you kind of say it in like, yeah, and then there's just like this bear guy that shows up in your office and he starts stuffing it into another bear guy.
Okay. And then a giant comes out on a boat to a big rock and tells a boy he's a wizard, and then they go to a magical shopping mall out in public behind a brick wall. Like, you can make anything sound stupid.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
and then a wizard comes in a carriage, and there's a bunch of little tiny people with hairy feet living in holes in the fucking side of the mountains. And then, so you can make anything sound stupid if you...
Like, I will say, Sister Location is definitely...
There's a cat with a hat.
In the direction of, like, what are we... Like,
Space really didn't like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like... Sister Location is, obviously there are stuff like, it's a giant underground bunker. Like, what? Why is it like this giant underground facility where we're like torturing robots? So it is getting more complicated, and I think he's just doing it for the sake of entertainment. But the surface level story of it is no more insane than any other kind of sci-fi story.
So he hates the sound of them singing, and I kid you not, he goes down and robs the fuck out of all of them.
Who's this guy, right? He's home alone at Christmas, and then these robbers show up. He's using like paint cans to like kill the guys and stuff. It's crazy.
So dumb. Oh my god.
This is how the daughter of the After family is killed by the clown, and how now she possesses it.
Grinch.
The animatronics of this location also combine together like a Voltron and become
Grinch
Ennard.
theory?
Also, you're revealed to be playing as the son of the purple guy. What a twist. Also,
guy
you
son.
vow to come after Springtrap, who is also the purple guy, mind you, who is also revealed to be alive, and is also revealed to be your father, because why not add more to the
Yeah,
drama?
see,
On top of-
I feel like this is just kind of adding on to the yeah, this is just the surface plot of the game. I would get a little more if he was going into like the deeper stuff of like the people don't like Remnant. People don't like the implications of Remnant. But that's different from like just summarizing the game, which is what he's doing.
I would
here.
say this game introducing that, like, hey, I know that you guys thought that like Mike Schmidt was a character, but that was actually an alias for Mike Afton. And
Yeah,
he's
that's
actually the
true.
purple guy's son. So the night guard from
That
FNaF
yeah, you're
3
right.
was
That is a
also the
deeper part
purple
of it.
guy's
Yeah.
son.
That is a deeper part
It's
of the
suddenly
story.
like all the stuff you thought you knew, it's wrong because I decided to change the story halfway through. So now it's lazily retconned.
Gibby,
into being
what are you talking about?
aliases.
Scott doesn't do retcons. He knew Mike was the purple guy's son in the first game.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I think the whole thing though of like now you're going down an elevator and there's giant robots down here. I think that calling that convoluted is kind of dumb, but that's right. Yeah, what you're saying. Is
I think
kinda true.
if it makes sense in Scott's head, it's not convoluted. Why is there an underground bunker? There's a reason, we just don't know what it is, right? That's a hole in our understanding.
Because he
not a hole
bought
in
it
the
from
story.
Edwin Murray.
From Edwin
And
Murray.
He's lived under his house now.
Yeah.
But it
And
is
the whole
better.
time's been in Arizona
But Gibby,
or
it is
something?
better than the dreaded
Oh my
books
God.
video we watched.
The dreaded books video.
The
which you
dreaded
gotta
books
remind me.
video. Mentioned some stuff about Gregory.
Oh, yes. Okay, never mind. I remember. Yeah,
He
not
dreaded
mm.
books?
Of all that, the
Wait,
purple
what?
guy was the creator of the
we'll-
animatronics.
We'll
because
fill you
of
in,
course
we'll
he
fill you
is.
in.
By this point, the series has truly
Okay.
gone off the rails. The series has become a sci-fi extravaganza. How was the purple guy able to make these extremely advanced animatronics that have sentience and are also way more advanced than any of the previous robots, but is still set in the 80s? How did you come back to life? Why are the monitors in the room from FNaF 4 hidden in this game? Why is there a secret basement filled with these guys that are apparently for rental services even profitable? I could get behind a creepy pizzeria with creepy animatronics, but this is where stuff begins to make even less sense. It also doesn't help that this
in
series
fairness,
refuses
in
to give any
context
real
of the
answers
rest
to
of the
questions
series,
being
it is a
asked. It's
very
much like
hard
Lost in
left
that way,
leap,
where the
yeah.
writers want to have a grand mystery,
Yeah.
but never really
There's
truly
the-
had an
there's
answer as to
Crankshaw
why or
Gregory
how
and
anything
David
works.
just
which
there
is
on the
People
left.
don't talk about how Charlie in the novels literally just builds these things.
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah, she's got these little talking.
She's got
baby
3
face
little
thing in
heads
the
that are
second
with.
one.
Or is it 2 or 3? I think I don't know. I remember if it's 2 or 3, but it's like
more than-
specifically
I remember someone at the time.
it's specifically bald heads that talk to each other and that mimic and have conversation.
Yeah, it is interesting in terms of like the canon, continuity debate thing. Like Scott,
Really,
I
when
think,
FNaF
does view it
which is
more
really
like
when the
they're
FNaF
all
war as a whole started
canon.
to
It's
fall
just
apart.
different
Scott continuously
details
adds
and
more
stuff.
and more to the
'Cause
story.
I think he
of these
just
games,
kind
but
of
refuses to
imports
elaborate
things
on any
without
of
the
it, making
necessary,
everything feel like it was
Chat's asking if you're still haunted
linking.
by Ballora like Dance with me.
No, it turns out Ballora has a really hard time following you when you fly in an airplane. She followed me back from Memphis, but then when I flew to Japan, she got lost somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. So we're all good.
Oh yeah, Gibby, people were asking earlier if we could
We're
play
still
that
together
clip of you talking about Ballora.
Yeah.
Those
So
boobs.
I watched the whole stream before I joined, so I heard you mention that. And I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it
Oh
my Mrs. Acton
God.
video where I'm like, she has fishnet stockings and breasts and a necklace, therefore she's a woman?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
what
you.
it
I
is?
think you. It's some clip where you go like, Ballora has breasts. These are
breasts.
not part of the design. They purposely gave the animatron. They go. These breasts serve no function, or something like that.
You don't need them to house internal,
Yeah.
they're not like, oh, well,
The
Now we're back
breasts
to
are
the
Ballora.
Charlie robot debate. Now we're back
Yeah.
to the Charlie robot.
All right, you know what?
It's
I'm
a
gonna
Charlie Bot
ask
mimics.
it.
funny.
William made mimics.
All right, and I'll make sure I preface this by saying like the fourth closet or something beforehand. All right, talking strictly about the fourth closet. All right, so chat, don't get weird. All right, could
No.
the Charlie
It's gonna
bot
get weird.
conceive a child?
No, surely not. Well, I guess it can bleed and
Yeah, we don't know. It can bleed.
Well,
it can
hold
take a
on.
shit.
wet and sleep and
digest
do
food.
anything.
It can digest
It's like
food.
fake blood, though, right?
It can digest food.
Yeah,
though.
I get
Yeah.
like what is Henry making like little like eggs
in his face that he's storing in the body for.
She can grow a placenta, like.
Yeah, no, I don't think she could.
I don't think so.
She could build a little robot head.
That would be so crazy.
I built Charlie every 5 years. I built you a new robot. I also built like a fetus and a baby for you to eventually have. That way you can just like turn it on one day.
Chat is so.
You know what's really
confused.
interesting?
Yeah, what?
You know what's really interesting? Because someone was like, "I'll never understand why Ballora is designed like that," and it is interesting if you take the whole like Afton family kind of parallels in the fun times. You know, like you've got a kid who's a bear with a small thing on his hand. You've got a fox. You've got the circus baby, and then Ballora is just like, I don't know, it's a woman. It's like you had Chica right there. You could have just made her Chica.
Well, she's over at Party World. I know that I said, even like when Secret of the Mimic was coming out, I'm like, guys, just because the trailers that have the little, cartoons, the Stay Up Latte, just because that woman has a pearl necklace doesn't mean that she's Ballora. I think Ballora might be based on Fiona.
Okay, so chat thinks that
she's also the staff bot.
Okay,
I think she's definitely the staff bot as well.
So the fake blood that Clay thinks comes out of Afton actually came out of Charlie when she got cut.
Yes, they find fake blood at the Freddy's rest because they're like, Afton's body's gone and we found fake blood. But I think that's because it's Charlie's fake blood.
Okay, it could be. Yeah. Could also be Afton's though.
And there are some crazy Ballora. I just tried to look at Ballora and then, man, people need to take a chill.
I unironically believe Ballora's breasts were used to help distract adults while baby Funtime Freddy bore their children in the other room. What an insane thing to donate $5 to get me to say on a live stream.
I don't think.
Oh no! What have I done? What have I done?
You read the next one, TD. You got to read this next one.
If Matt can get pregnant with Springtrap robot Charlie through agony.
Jesus,
that's insane.
It's a boy.exe.
That's crazy. That's fucking
Ballora's
crazy.
Song even is very Fiona coded.
Because it was most likely
so what is it, egg
at the last minute. Either way, let's see where the next game takes us.
Ballora had an entire fake family even after she died.
Chain, which is actually a cool departure from the status quo, but don't worry, you still have to survive the night because of course you do.
$5 for 5
all the
kids!
From the past for mysterious reasons, including the return of Springtrap, who looks considerably stupider than
he looks baked.
This game is by far...
Michael, I've been smoking that spring pack. Michael. What
Freddy
that
Fazbear's,
what that green do?
I'm not talking about pizza.
What that green do, Michael?
Far the biggest lore dump out
Michael,
of
I'm
any of the
withering.
previous games. And get this, things only get more convoluted from here. Who would have guessed? It is
Call me
revealed that you're
Burntrap.
playing as the protagonist from the last game, who now also looks like this, mind you, who is also revealed to be this asshole brother who killed his younger brother from FNaF 4 because murder runs in the family. It is also revealed that you were hired in secret by another person who also helped create that because murder runs in the family.
Markiplier's David. Look at his shit.
Oh my God. It is also revealed that you were hired in secret by another person who also helped create the animatronics, who has a name, but I'm too lazy to look it up, to burn the place down, so they could put the souls of the animatronics to rest.
Is that what you
Even though they were already put to rest at the end of the
Duskman
third
is
game, but
not
what I
Henry.
can't say
Lore
is
is complicated and then not know one of the
name is
main
William
characters.
Afton,
Don't look up
but I don't
Henry's
remember
name.
if it was revealed in this game or in the last game.
I'm
So
sure
let's
he's
say it was
joking.
this game. There's way more lore dumped into this game.
See, this
Such as
video
how
was
we see
made for people whose like little brother plays FNAF and they want to know what it is, not for like me who like needs it to survive.
Yeah.
I
The first
had
child
someone
killed
left
by
a comment on
Gibson, a
my
cryptic minigame
someone left a
that
comment on my
hints at
video
something.
saying, "My kids are really into FNAF. I'm glad I was able to watch this to learn what they're talking about." That's on my 9-hour video.
Damn.
This
Dedicated parent.
middle-aged woman.
Dedicated parent,
I'm
I
like,
guess.
That is so nice.
That is really cute. That parent care theory.
Oh no.
They will care.
I'm not sure what it is.
I have cared,
but I'm
I
sure
always
it's
will.
Maybe something to do with
Care.
William, who cares? As well as some
Alright, I just
secrets
saw in
as to
chat
why the
that Cryo
animatronics
has
are
been
possessed in the
converted
first
to Charlie
place.
the
By
Last.
this point in the series,
Yeah, he has.
What
Should we-
what about Secret of the Mimic
Yeah.
changed that?
Should we kill him?
Oh my God.
the games have gone from being creepy to
But
becoming
then it'll be Cryo last because he'd be after Charlie. So.
goosebumps. Since the series started to really cater towards its younger audience, the game still has disturbing stuff in it, but most of the animatronics now have voices. which was introduced in the last game,
I put
but
the
that
new
game also suffers from the
40s on
animatronics
the
simply
game.
not being scary anymore.
What if-
It's also
what
too
if we
bad
said
that
that
they were
instead?
never really
What's
the
the
focus
capsule?
of the story, and are set aside to the Afton family, who were retconned into the series to make the story have more unnecessary layers that really didn't need to be there in the first place.
Oh,
This
shit,
game
that's
does
a
feel
take,
Yeah, the
I guess,
Aftons,
yeah.
unnecessary.
The Aftons were
Okay.
retconned into the story to make it unnecessary.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, what?
So the
He says
Aftons were
the Aftons.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the introduction of the Afton family is a retcon, and it makes the story unnecessarily convoluted. Which I disagree with, because I think that they're the entire
The glue.
like Michael and Cece, and then William obviously are like the reason I care about the story.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. I think there's an argument before Sister Location that the story is too simple. Because it's like, we don't have character, like the only character, I suppose, Crying Child and the brother. But like, before that, we only have the phone guy as a character. And we don't even really, we kind of get a little arc for him. But in terms of the plot, we just know like, evil guy does evil things, kids become ghosts. Like, there's not like a character arc or whatever. At least with the Aftons, once you introduce them, you now have like characters that you can latch onto and learn about and kind of get to know and develop them over the course of the series. So to say it's like, oh, it's too overcomplicated now, is to imply that it was like way too complicated before, and now we've just completely ruined it by adding in characters. I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't want to. I'm not hating on this guy. It's not.
No,
a
it's
bad
an
video.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just happen
we've
to
seen
disagree.
worse. We
I
watched a
find-
whole video the other day about how
my
like
God.
FNaF is for babies because it has merch.
Yeah, very very silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you could. Yeah. I do think they should have more. Like, I was talking to my dad about this the other day. I think like a really good, like FNAF statue would kill. Like a really like a high quality one that is for like adult collectors.
It comes to life and kills you.
Numbers. Yeah, that comes to life and kills you. Yeah.
Like a Hot Toys or a McFarlane.
Yeah,
like, style,
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
high
yeah.
quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a love letter to the fans, since it does answer a lot of questions, but in the process also leaves some questions unanswered. Now, this may seem like the ultimate conclusion to the series. Everyone is either dead or is close to being dead. All loose story threads were mostly closed, and there is no more story to tell.
The ultimate what?
I'm the vengeful spirit. I'm the vengeful
This is the
spirit.
bonus game.
How are you
which
gonna knock over Midnight Motorist, man?
Bonus game.
True.
Sorry.
play as William Afton in Super Health, being killed over and over by
Supposed
all
to
the
be
animatronics,
DLC, right?
which is honestly a super cool concept. There's a bit more lore here and there, but honestly it doesn't really matter since none of this makes that much sense unless you watch all the game theories on how the lore actually does make sense, and it's totally not
This
just
guy,
about
this
being
guy's at the
like
very
invasive.
top of the FNaF theory iceberg levels of knowledge.
The game is honestly a mess in my opinion. Most of the scares in this game are literally just JPEGs shaking violently at the screen. This game is really just fan service with some hints of lore sprinkled in. Either way, this game was just kind of a nice send out to the series. You know, a bonus game. We're finally done with the series. There's nothing else left to be told. And
Please. My name is David. Dad, I want some ice
I
cream.
want some ice cream.
All right, I'm curious. Now is when he's gonna get mad.
Apparently, the Fazbear Corporation are not too happy about the rumors of children going missing in their pizzerias, so they decided to make a VR game that will clear their name up. But in the process, they somehow made it so the animatronics will still kill you and be quite creepy and disgusting. Don't think about it too much because it makes even less sense the more you think about it. You play as a beta tester, testing out the game for the company. As you progress through the game, you learn that William's virtual soul is in the game code.
I think
and
it's
somehow
super
manages
weird
to possess
how
it,
they
which
decided
means
to
that the killer is
implement them,
back
but
once again.
I don't think
Now,
the idea
you may think
itself
to
is
yourself,
terrible.
how can someone's soul be stored inside a video game?
I don't really like the whole game. I feel like couldn't they just done the rest of this without having to be a game in the real universe? Like, just have some guy build it and want to make a mall. Just have some guy build it and want to make a mall. Like, you skip the whole game thing. Have a game in the mall that Glitchtrap's in. Doesn't have to be an actual game. Like,
Oh,
have
man,
a fucking.
why don't? Okay,
Yeah.
here you go. You've got Glitchtrap in this game, right? He's a
Yeah.
virus based on Afton, and Afton's soul or whatever is involved.
Yeah.
So why don't you just have Fazbear is making a VR game and it's all happy-go-lucky and lovely and blah 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 blah, and then Glitchtrap's influence turns it into FNAF because it's based on like his memories of being a ghost, you know, or being William Afton. So then you can have all the other games because he was involved pretty much in every story except maybe FNAF 1, but he was probably like haunting the pizzeria while he was Springtrap, so who knows, you know, like just have it that it's a regular game that gets corrupted by Glitchtrap and then is turned into FNAF, so you don't have to make it so that they're in-universe games as well.
I know. Instead of having the whole instead of having the whole game plotline at all, I would just have them take the circuit board from Springtrap or Mimic or whatever it is they find it in. Whatever they use to make the pathfinding routines in the game, I would just have them use that to put the show routines into their new animatronics. So then a glitch trap, in quotes, is in those. And just you skip the whole middleman. Well, it's in a video game.
So this is like a recreation of the pizzerias or something? Like,
yeah, someone just buys it out and makes a more happy-go-lucky mall out of it. Has a very different vibe than the pizzerias did.
Yeah, it can just be that Fazbear Entertainment is making a VR experience, and when they scan in Glitch Trap, it scans in all of the horrific stuff from the first 7 games.
That's what I'm saying. So you can still have the format of it being an in-game, like an in-universe game, but that it's corrupted by glitch. You know, you could even have an interesting thing then afterwards where, like, you could have it where we're getting to see some of the employees' like emails coming in during the week, and we get, you know, people complaining that their kid's traumatized by this game, and now they looked into it and all this is real. You know, I looked up old newspapers and I'm finding out all this stuff about your company. You know, it could be I suppose they want them to be successful so they can make the Pizzaplex, so it can't do that either. It could just be in the version we're playing because we're a game tester.
It doesn't get released.
I guess, chat, like the stream or I will die. I'm rigged to explode if we don't get over 200 likes or whatever it is.
All right. Help Wanted. We're just falling on Help Wanted reboot.
2032.
2032, guys. Don't worry.
223. 2023, yes. That's when FNaF 3 takes place.
HRY 223.
I love 2023. Hudson's the Fright Guard also.
Not love picking arbitrary dates in the future.
Already died, and the answer to that is...
All I'm saying is that if Edwin is still the guy that invented the Mimic, then Hudson is still the Fright Guard. And Andrew is still the Vengeful Spirit. That's right, Gibby. Checkmate.
Make it stop.
That they wanted to find a reason to continue this game series. And money. Lots and lots of money. I'm still trying to comprehend how
you could. I feel like you could have just skipped the whole Steve Snodgrass
from the 80s can make a virtual copy of itself and also make sentient animatronics that can steal other people's souls for good measure. It's honestly a little
I think it would be fine if this was not the basis for like brand new lore.
They get a little dumb when they try to explain.
Yeah, this is like phase 2 starting
VR, and it would be pretty hard not to make this premise scary at all. The story has lost the plot.
Because I think Security Breach should be a lot less confusing if we
cool animatronics that everyone actually cares about.
Oh yeah, Nightmare Own is only from Ultimate Custom Night in canon. Instead of being like, is this a plush made about the character from the VR game, and is this the VR game influencing this, or is this actually Nightmare?
I get to say he's trying to introduce. They're trying to introduce M1 or the Mimic program in some way. You didn't have to do that in a video game though, because we know the Mimic program can go in fucking any. It can be in a coffee maker. You could introduce M1 through anything.
Yeah, but they still wanted, I think, because Scott said the reason they did it is because they did want to make this kind of mini-game style game, but they also didn't want to make it that it was kind of out of canon or whatever. So they wanted an in-universe reason that we would be going through all of these things.
I think Agony chips would be better, yeah.
Yeah, you can still have that framework of it being an in-universe game, but have it so that the corruption isn't just there's one guy in the corner. It's like, it's a bunch of these things.
But then,
coming to light because of Afton.
Meanwhile, Scott never cared about the books being in a different continuity, or Into the Pit, the game being in a different continuity. So why was this why was basically a VR remake the over the line?
I think so with the books, I guess it's a different format, and this is going to be the first like big. Everyone kind of gets to play. It's a VR. Everyone's going to be looking at it. It's going to be kind of the first time a new company takes over. He's aware that a lot of eyes are going to be on it, and it's probably going to be the start of the future of the franchise. So I can understand them wanting it to be important. And I think with Into the Pit game, that happened kind of by mistake because he never planned on it being a proper release until it happened over time. So I don't know if he'd have greenlit that game with the idea of it coming out the way it did and be non-canon, but I don't know. See, you could also just do it like someone goes into a ball pit, like fucking make Into the Pit the game instead of Help Wanted, where someone goes through the ball pit throughout time and they just end up in different scenarios from the old games.
God, it's so weird to think that we have a FNaF game that might not be in the game timeline.
AR?
I think
we
100% Into the Pit.
Into the Pit. 100%.
Yeah, I don't think 100%.
it is. I think it's just because I think it's just because like eventually we're
boy,
gonna
what-
get a game that's not in continuity, unless every game from now on till the end of time that comes out will 100% be canon. I think it's like it's inevitable that when a
Play as
series
a
gets
boy
this
named
big,
Gregory,
you'll just
who is stuck in the brand new
eventually
Freddy
switch to branch
Fazbear
out
Mega
things that
Pizza
aren't
Mall
as
place, whatever. It
important,
has a name, but I'm
quote-unquote,
not
to
looking
the
it up.
lore.
You are accompanied by Freddy as he helps you survive the night against the other animatronics, as well as trying to avoid being caught by the security guard, who feels a little suspicious. This honestly is a cool concept for the series, and in the first, you can move around in an open environment. What could possibly go wrong? It is revealed that the security guard is actually the game tester who was possessed by the virtual soul of the bad guy from the last game. She has tampered with the other animatronics, which is why they are also acting aggressive and going after you in particular. As you explore more, you eventually discover many secrets, including that the pizzeria you built in the Pizzeria Simulator game is hidden deep underground. Finding the melted remains of the old
Unless it's animatronics
to see if their souls are
Fazent is saying in the chat that he did this with the whole VR thing to canonize non-canon characters and events. But the thing is, if you make it so that it's Afton's soul on Glitchtrap, which you could use this, I guess, as an argument that it might not be Glitchtrap, but like, if it's Afton's soul, then he would have been through Ultimate Custom Night, and that already featured non-canon characters. So you can just say, this is Nightmare Own from UCN, not from the FNAF 4 DLC.
the rest. It was also revealed that Willie...
Oh, fun fact on that, by the way. In the context of the game, one of the first things Hand Unit says is you'll see plenty of familiar faces and some new ones as well. And so the idea is that some of the characters shown in that game, assuming we're not counting like Blacklight Freddy, because it's just Freddy, it's assuming that some of the characters were original creations for that game. So the Nightmare thing saying it's from that old headset game.
Yeah.
Could be that Nightmare was a creation for Help Wanted. Because it doesn't say it's from the indie devs games. It's because if it was Freddy, it was from those old rumors. If it was
So now what we have is in real life we have a non-canon version of the FNAF 4 Nightmare Own in the DLC. Then we have a canon version in UCN, and then we have a canon version in Help Wanted. But the canon version in Help Wanted is based off of nothing, even though in-universe FNAF 4 did exist. But the DLC must not.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
So the DLC in universe never happened for some reason, even though they could just say it did.
Yeah, because Hand Unit specifically says that some of the characters you see are original to FNAF Help Wanted and are not based on previous stories. Hand Unit specifically says that some of the characters you see are not based on previous stories, which means that some of them are original characters.
So funny. Nightmare Own is based on Jackie send tweet.
Name is still alive. Wait, so you're telling me that we...
Depending on what you believe, yeah. Depending on... I am glitch both. I am glitch both at the moment. I am that it's part of Afton's agony and the Mimic AI.
Well, yeah, I'm also glitch both, but at this point, like, Burntrap is just not a real entity, I think.
Yeah, that's I'm leaning in that direction as well.
I think he still exists.
I don't know. I think it'll be so weird if in like the next game he like wanders out from the shadows next to the Mimic.
He says, "You will bring me." What do I want? They point at each other like the Spider-Man meme.
3 times in a row by this point, and expect people to still care of the fate of these characters if they just keep coming back anyways. Not only that, but you don't even defeat the killer. He just walks and then gets presumably killed again in a cutscene by the amalgamation of the other robots. Then you're revealed to be just some kid, and the reason Freddy is protecting you is because it was cut from the game. No, I'm serious. The explanation as to why Freddy's...
I know why you are not in the customer database. I remember you from the...
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we 3, I don't know if this is controversial and you guys might not have your full thought about it. Do you think that Escape the Pizzaplex's game's canon?
No,
I did not read it.
Not anymore.
Did you listen to me read it? Because it's so good enough.
Yeah, I watched you read it. I mean, it's got Cassie in it. That's pretty much as I can kind of like. I don't agree that if a book has a game character in it, it has to be canon, because I think the games what is it you say, Gibby? Is the books can fit the games, but the games don't fit the books.
Yeah.
Like, I think if the week before is canon, and given the way there were changes made to Return to the Pit, that makes me think it might be canon. I think that there's a good chance that the interactive novels are just canon. But then there's also stuff where VIP kind of goes out of its way to explain Tales from the Pizzaplex stuff, right? If I remember that correctly.
People try to use it to justify. There's basically one line that's like, we are changing this aspect of the Pizzaplex. Like we are taking out the Monty maze and putting in Monty Golf or whatever. And they're like, that's why it's different in the books in the game, because they change it all the time. But I think there's also an inconsistency where it's like, one attraction was open in an early Tales book, and then it was closed in VIP, and then it's open in the game. And so people are trying to figure that out. But
I think it'd be kind of cool if we saw... I think it'd be really cool if we saw in like the Secret of the Mimic 2 or whatever, where we get some sort of return of the Helpy character, that it's like glitching between like Glitchtrap and then Mr. Pig or whatever he's called, and then Helpy. It'd be cool. Just going through all of them. Yeah, I mean, I think the week before is written so like specifically with FNAF 1 in mind, like word for word dialogue. Then we have the Return to the Pit, which has all the MCI changes, the changes to the location to try and make it fit better. There's it's got the inclusion of the plush babies. It's like, again, stuff that even if I don't want it to be in canon, it's like there's no reason they would write it with this specificity if there wasn't some attempt to at least make it fit or make it potentially fit. So I wouldn't see why only 2 of them would be canon and 2 of them.
I wonder when this was supposed to play.
There's a whole cut ending of the game where he becomes like evil and tries to kill you. Like there's a whole cut ending of the game. It's crazy.
Freddy or something. Shattered Freddy.
Towards the community protector is cut from the game entirely because we needed more room for security bots. This game is a mess in many aspects, but I'm only going to focus on the story and what little it has to tell, which is very shocking considering it's the longest game in the franchise by far. All you really do is dispose of the animatronics and get one of the many lackluster endings that don't add up too much in the grand scheme of things. You don't even face the security guard villain unless you go out of your way to find them, even the theory side of the community.
Yeah, but it's also probably that thing where this is like, you know, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's. It's the first kind of in a series of. Because yes, VR is the start of an era, but Security Breach is the start of Gregory and Freddy's story. So I don't expect everything to be like answered. But it's also annoying when it's not. You have to wait 4 years.
That's the thing. It's the difference between the old games and the new games.
It was like 2 months.
As a community, we've kind of been primed to expect the game to kind of be its own little self-contained thing that has implications,
or not developed enough to make a story
these are more
have some
being
meaning.
done like
One of
a
the endings,
series,
there appears to be 2 security guards. Like, where are we supposed to make a
whole story?
And theorists when they learn about symbolism for the first time.
Enough to make the story have some meaning. In one of the endings, there appears to be 2 security guards. Like, where are we supposed to
God, I hate that theory so much.
Make of that. In another ending, you help the security guard be free from William's control and get ice cream. What if a fully reward? This game is also by far the least scary of any of his games. It has a crap ton of jump scare, but those wear off fast since you're constantly being bombarded all the time, that it loses all effect. This game was a huge disappointment for many, myself included. It really does feel like this game doesn't have a clear focus, and as a result, this game feels bloated and overwhelming. Honestly, I can rant on the game series more, but then we will be here all day, and I only really want to talk about its lore. Many people are still invested in the story, and I understand why. The idea of killer animatronics is cool, but as the series went on, it struggled to make itself make sense, and it's a shame that the games at this point are starting to recycle its ideas. There's only so much you can
Oh, really? Scott reusing his old writing ideas? Preposterous.
to do with the concept, you know? I do think that Scott's main focus has always been the gameplay. The story has always come second.
Me when I make my story rhyme by making it the exact same.
Which is why the story does feel like it doesn't fully come together half the time. The story is such a small focus that he decided to leave actual important story beats in the book series that are supposedly not connected to the game series, but do heavily inspire the game's story, such as William first being explored in the books. Even though I've been ragging on the story, I still really do enjoy its concept, even on how dumb it's gotten. This is my guilty pleasure for a multitude of reasons, and I'll still rewatch all of Markiplier's playthroughs of the series because I find them so entertaining. I just wanted to show my appreciation for the series.
Yeah, I didn't mind this video. It might be because we have achieved a FNAF omnipotence, and so the gripes we have with the series are deeper than anything he laid out here, because we know life it.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like if one of us were to make this video, we'd say different stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would be incomprehensible to the layman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, how does F10 build the cradle when she's clearly already inside of it? This makes no sense.
F10 is what the cradle is. The cradle is F10. So why do we need the
point of
blueprint?
Why introduce the field and fetch and the blue screen and sister location if you're not going to relate those two concepts together? And then, like, anyone who knows, like, only knows FNaF from MatPat's going to be like, is he even talking about Freddy's anymore?
Yes.
What are these words?
In the breaking wheel, we clearly see.
The breaking wheel implies parallel universes, as does the note at the basement of Secret of the Mimic next to the Sleepy Moon / Nightlight character.
I love
watching
yelling at me in the across the other day, and she's quite new. She's been firing at the videos though; it's crazy. But she had a good theory on Sleepy Moon, similar to yours, Gibby, but based on what I think is genuinely a really overlooked detail, because it doesn't really match what we're considering at the minute. But the whole Ruin Candy Cadet story about the monster in the basement singing the lullaby. And she essentially had the same.
When did Jeremy become an Unk? Jeremy's an Unk.
Who is
Jeremy turned 19.
Try and find it now.
Because the Bunny. Yeah, guys.
Oh, ha ha ha.
Make sure you smash the like button.
Happy birthday, bunny.
Hello. Happy
People
birthday.
in real life. Hey, man, how's it going? I don't get the reference, but hey, it's going good.
Yeah, people spell it or something. People in my comments were yelling at me because I said, like, his name isn't Sleepy Moon. The files say Nightlight. And they're like, bro, in the credits of the game, it calls him Sleepy Moon. And I'm like, well, I was misinformed. I guess it's...
Oh, really? Does it call him that? That's crazy.
Yep, it says Edwin / Sleepy Moon is played by the same guy in the credits.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm like, but in the blueprints in game,
I mean, it does
Nightlight.
call them... Yeah, it does call them in the files as well, Nightlight. It's probably like one of those
Yellow Bear
placeholder things.
The devious hour-and-a-half long Will Care video.
But yeah, basically the idea Denari had was that
what the fuck?
M1 is a separate endo. It was Fiona, but the cradle was actually built not to protect David the spirit, but to protect David the living child from her malfunctioning body. And basically because she's kind of haphazardly thrown together, that the M1 potentially was becoming dangerous, and that's why Fiona gets put into F10 and the mimic gets thrown in the basement because it starts kind of acting weird, which I like. I just don't know if there's enough evidence in game to suggest that, but I do kind of like it.
She put out 11 videos in 2 weeks.
I know, it's crazy. I don't know how she's doing
Where we learn
because, like, I've watched the videos as well. It's not like AI or anything.
Steve
and it's not even stuff like she could have been working on for ages.
Games for Fazbear, including the Mimic, and then used it to help create the Funtime animatronics, only for it to all go wrong and for it to kill his daughter. He then locked the Mimic underground and created a Blue Bunny mixes to keep it locked away. Again,
this is Tom's figured out where the books were going.
If the books are
I
canon,
think his conclusion would have been that they aren't,
as
right?
the Mimic doesn't arrive at the Pizzaplex until construction on the Pizzaplex.
I think his conclusion was like, we don't know.
Yeah, it was another Tom theory filler video.
Another David. All right, I have to go.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna dip too. Honestly, we've been here for a minute.
With my doggo.
That's fair.
All right. Farewell, chat. We gotta wait till chat says goodbye, so they don't think I crashed on stream, though.
Bye, Absol. Bye, Hans. Bye, Cheese.
Chat,
bye,
I'm working on schedule theory very slowly.
Bye, Seeker. Bye, Gremlin. Bye, Sophie. Bye, Jeremy. Bye, Cross.
Bye, There's K and KK in the chat. Oh, wait. No, wait. Good thing I said and. That's okay.
Oh, my good lord.
Bye,
all right. Baby, down the rest, may I slumber.